Chapter 29:48. Outside the gate of the giant city, those demons and monsters who claimed to be from the god race were all dumbfounded as they looked at Gu Fei's avatar. The surroundings were silent, and only the breathing of those monsters could be heard. He actually killed a god. Someone roared, breaking the silence outside the city gate, and awakening the group of monsters from their inexplicable shock. This is against the heavens. The lowly human killed a god. In an instant, the outside of the city gate was in an uproar. The corpse of the man-eating tree spirit fell outside the city gate. This was an ironclad fact, and those monsters had no choice but to believe it. A lowly human actually killed a god race. Of course, there was an essential difference between the god race and the god race. These monsters claimed to be from the god race, but they were not real gods. It was an exaggeration to say that Gu Fei's avatar had killed a god. What? The lowly human killed a god? How is this possible? Let's go and take a look. The news quickly spread out, and also spread to the giant city. The monsters in the city who received the news all rushed to the city gate, and many monsters gathered outside the city. He really killed a god. When the crowd of monsters saw the man-eating tree that was split in half, they were all shocked to the extreme. Very soon, a large number of creatures gathered outside the city gate, and these creatures were of all kinds. There were human-shaped lizards, elephant men walking on two legs, and there were also strange beasts that were as huge as hills walking from afar with heavy footsteps. And what shocked Gu Fei's avatar was that among these creatures, there was not a single figure of the human race. Could the human race really not stand among the ranks of the strong? Thinking of this, Gu Fei's avatar could not help but be inexplicably shocked. One must know that the weak races would only be enslaved by the strong races. The weak races would only be enslaved by the strong races. The status of the human race was actually so low that they were reincarnated slaves. This really shocked Gu Fei's avatar. In this different world, the human race was actually not the ruler. This was beyond the expectation of Gu Fei's avatar. Roar! At this moment, a furious roar resounded from the mountain ridge in the distance. Then, a figure rushed out from the mountain ridge. It was a tree demon, an old tree demon. An extremely powerful aura erupted from the figure, and a monstrous demonic aura instantly enveloped the entire void. That's an elder of the Treant race. Human, you're dead meat. A black bear spirit opened its mouth wide and said to Gu Fei's clone. Is that so? Would you believe me if I said you were dead? Gu Fei's doppelganger looked at the black bear spirit and suddenly laughed. When the black bear spirit heard this, a look of disdain appeared on its face. Human, I'm not someone that Treant you killed can compare to. Come and die. Gu Fei's doppelganger didn't say anything else. He stretched out his hand towards the black bear spirit, and the black bear spirit flew towards him involuntarily. Roar! The color drained from the black bear spirit's face. A powerful force burst forth from his body as he tried to break free. However, with a wave of Gu Fei's hand, the black bear spirit shot out like a black meteor towards the incoming Treant. What? All the spiritual beasts who witnessed this scene were extremely shocked. They couldn't believe how this human could be this strong. This was way beyond the expectations of all the spiritual beasts. The human race had always been synonymous with being weak. They were just a bunch of lowly slaves that were reared, enslaved, and even used as food by the various celestial races. These spiritual beasts had never seen such a strong human who could kill a celestial race being so easily. Sheeing. That Treant stretched out his hand, and 5 tentacles shot out from his hand, piercing through the black bear spirit. The black bear spirit howled out in fear. However, that thick body of the black bear spirit began to shrivel up very quickly. All of his essence, flesh, and blood were quickly devoured by the Treant's tentacles. Soon, even the essence spirit of the black bear spirit flew out of his body and was devoured by the Treant. In just an instant, this powerful black bear spirit was dead. All of his essence, along with his essence spirit, were devoured cleanly. Human, how dare you kill my tribesmen? Die obediently. The Treant stood in the air and looked down at Gu Fei's doppelganger on the ground. At this moment, all the spiritual beasts gathered outside the city gates retreated. One must know that this treant was an extremely strong existence. In this alternate world, this trent's cultivation state was already nearing that of a god. In this alternate world, gods were the true powerful beings. TSK, who do you think you are? Come, come, come. Hurry up and let me kill you. Gu Fei's doppelganger waved at the treant nonchalantly. This human is T. The moment the spiritual beasts heard the words of Gu Fei's doppelganger, they could not help but be dumbfounded. To think that this human would dare to challenge the treant. One must know that the treant was a famous powerful being in the Kang Sky City. He must be scared silly. He must be wondering if this human truly has an extraordinary cultivation state and battle prowess. Some of the spiritual beasts were starting to feel uneasy. There should not be an existence as such in the human race. After all, the human race did not have any powerful beings at all. Die. The moment the treant heard the words of Gu Fei's doppelganger, he flew into a rage. Stretching out his hands, 5 tentacles shot out from his hands. Like 5 godly spears, they pierced towards Gu Fei's doppelganger. Sheeing. Just as the 5 tentacles of the treant were about to pierce into Gu Fei's doppelganger, a buzzing sound rang out from his body. A golden light shone out from his body, turning into a light barrier. The 5 tentacles of the treant pierced into the light barrier around Gu Fei's doppelganger. However, they were blocked immediately. The treant was taken aback. This human was extraordinary indeed. No wonder he could kill that tribesman of his. Roar. The treant roared out as he opened his mouth and spat out a ball of green flames. That ball of green flames descended from the heavens and drowned out Gu Fei's doppelganger in an instant. However, Gu Fei was still standing there unmoving. The layer of golden light around his body blocked out all of the green flames. What? This time around, the treant could not help but be taken aback. The cultivation state of this human had far surpassed his expectations. He had been cultivating for thousands of years, but he had never come across such a strong human before. As the green flames dissipated, the figure of Gu Fei's doppelganger appeared before the eyes of the spiritual beasts. How could this be? The moment all the spiritual beasts who were watching from afar caught sight of that golden figure, they were dumbfounded. How in the world could this human be this strong? Sheeing. Just then, that golden figure shot up into the sky. Turning into a streak of golden light, it pierced through the treant's body instantly. The next moment, the treant's expression froze up. Following that, a sword mark appeared on the treant's forehead. Starting from there, the sword mark extended downwards. Under the watchful gazes of the countless spiritual beasts, the treant's body was split into 2 and fell down from the sky, crashing onto the ground. Thereafter, a black iron ancient tree that was split into 2 appeared before the eyes of all the spiritual beasts. So, it's a black iron ancient tree. And here I was, thinking that it was some sort of impressive tree. That golden sword shadow disappeared, and a figure that was radiating with a golden glow appeared high up in the sky. A voice boomed down from the heavens. That human. At this moment, all the spiritual beasts looked at that figure in the sky with a different gaze. How could there be such a strong existence within the human race? Could it be that the human race is going to rise up? Some of the spiritual beasts said with a quivering voice. When the human race in ragged clothes saw this scene from afar, they could not help but feel extremely excited. No one was willing to be a slave. The human race had been enslaved by these so-called celestial races for countless years. They had had enough of it. Countless humans hoped that an invincible existence would emerge from their race and lead them to rise up in this fiend-god world. Is this day finally coming? An old man from the human race muttered to himself excitedly from afar. The human race is not to be bullied. Come, let me see what you so-called celestial races are capable of. If you're not convinced, come at me. I specialize in dealing with those who are not convinced. Gu Fei's clone stood proudly in the sky, sweeping his gaze across the spiritual beasts below. For a moment, not a single spiritual beast dared to step out. What arrogant words! At this moment, a cold laugh rang out from the city. Then, a figure walked out from the city gates. It's actually him. When the spiritual beasts outside the city saw the living being that walked out from the city, they could not help but be surprised and overjoyed. This living being was actually an ape. An ape whose arms were almost touching the ground. This ape wore battle armor and held a battle spear in its hand. Its body emitted an incomparably powerful and ferocious aura. Its eyes flickered with golden light. When it opened and closed, it seemed like there was lightning shooting out from its eyes. Tongbi Divine Ape. When Jiyu Fei's clone saw the ape that walked out from the city, he could not help but be moved. Because this ape was actually a Tongbi Divine Ape that had long been extinct in the human realm and heaven realm. This kind of divine ape was born with great divine abilities. It had the ability to pluck the stars and capture the moon. An adult Tongbi Divine Ape was definitely a powerful and terrifying existence. However, this Tongbi Divine Ape was not an adult Tongbi Divine Ape. It was equivalent to a young Tongbi Divine Ape of the human race. Even so, this Tongbi Divine Ape was still extremely powerful. A puny human dares to behave atrociously in the Sky City. Hurry up and die. The Tongbi Divine Ape carried the battle spear and looked at Jiyu Fei's clone in the sky arrogantly. Are you talking to me? Jiyu Fei's clone looked down at the Tongbi Divine Ape on the ground and said, How dare you be so impudent in front of the god's son? Chapter 2949. Everyone knew that there was a god presiding over Firmament City. However, this god was mysterious and unfathomable. It seemed as though no one had ever seen a god before. However, while God could not be seen, God's sons could. This was because there was a God's son in Firmament City. This God's son was the Tongbi Divine Ape. The Tongbi Divine Ape was known as the God's son because he had a god for a father. In Firmament City, the God's son's position was second only to the god. He was respected by countless Protoss powerhouses. No living being dared to belittle this God's son. There were even more followers of this God's son. Among the followers of the God's son, there were even some geniuses from powerful races. These existences were proud to be able to follow the God's son. In order to become a follower of the God's son and gain his attention, countless Protoss had fought to the point of breaking their heads. In fact, many living beings did not even find it shameful to be a slave of the God's son. In fact, they saw it as something with a bright future. To Jiyu Fei's clone, these demons and monsters were all crazy. What God's son? It was just a Tongbi Divine Ape. Of course, the Tongbi Divine Ape was also an extremely powerful race in this world. In this alternate world, the Tongbi Divine Ape race was revered as a god by countless monsters. The fact that Jiyu Fei's clone did not care about the god's son at all naturally enraged the crowd. Some living beings even pointed at Jiyu Fei's clone and started scolding him. How dare you be disrespectful to the god's son? You deserve to die. Among the followers of the Tongbi Divine Ape, a middle-aged man in black robes with bull horns stood out. This middle-aged man held a trident in his hand. Kill. That middle-aged man with bull horns stomped on the ground with his right foot. Bam! The entire ground shook. Then, this middle-aged man with bull horns charged into the sky with the trident in his hand and attacked Jiyu Fei's clone in the sky. The Tongbi Divine Ape wielded his battle spear and looked at this scene coldly without saying anything. Swoosh! In an instant, the middle-aged man with bull horns charged towards Jiyu Fei's clone. The trident in his hand pierced towards Jiyu Fei's clone. Humph! Jiyu Fei's doppelganger stretched out his right hand and grabbed the incoming trident. What? The middle-aged man with a pair of bull horns on his head was shocked. He tried his best to stab forward, but Jiyu Fei's hand seemed to have grown roots on the trident. It didn't move at all. Roar! The black-clothed middle-aged man roared. His entire body radiated with dazzling divine light. It was as if his entire body was on fire. An extremely powerful ripple of divine power erupted from his body. However, no matter how ruthless and desperate the middle-aged man was, the trident in his hand that was held by Jiyu Fei's clone remained motionless. All the living beings gathered nearby were dumbfounded at the sight of this. It had to be known that the middle-aged man with the bull horns was one of the few powerful beings among the followers of the divine child. He was an existence whose cultivation was extremely close to that of a god. Even with his status, he was willing to become a follower of the divine child. He obviously wanted to become a god. Becoming a god was definitely not an easy task. However, at this moment, this expert whose cultivation was closest to that of a god was actually unable to retrieve his weapon from the human's grasp. This was completely unbelievable. All the living beings struggled to believe what they were seeing, but they had no choice but to believe it. This was reality, a reality that they did not want to believe. Even the divine child, the Tongbi divine ape, was slightly moved when he saw this. Boom! With a soft sound, the trident in the Ox Demon Clan's expert's hand instantly shattered into tiny black fragments. Then, those black fragments shot towards the Ox Demon Clan's expert with a shocked expression on his face. The Ox Demon Clan's expert had no time to react at all. His body was instantly pierced by the countless black fragments, causing a mist of blood to splatter from his body. One of the fragments, the size of a fingernail, pierced through the Ox Demon's forehead, dispersing his soul. In the blink of an eye, the Ox Demon powerhouse's eyes lost their luster as he fell from the sky like a broken sack. How is this possible? Everyone was dumbfounded. Their mouths were agape for a very long time. Bang! The Ox Demon Clan's expert's corpse heavily smashed into the ground, causing a layer of dust to rise. Very quickly, the blood that seeped out from the Ox Demon Clan's expert's corpse dyed the ground red. He's dead. He's dead, just like that. This time around, all the living beings were dumbfounded, unable to speak for a long time. This human was way too strong. Not only did he shatter the trident in the hands of the powerful being of the Ox Demon race, he even killed the powerful being of the Ox Demon race. On the ground, the Tongbi god ape glared at the figure in the sky. His face turned grim as his eyes shone with a godly gleam that resembled lightning. Even though the other living beings did not witness what had just happened, it did not mean that he did not. He had seen how his follower had died. He had seen it clearly. It was a fragment the size of a fingernail that had pierced through the forehead of his follower, dispersing his soul instantly. How could his follower survive an attack of this degree? Tongbi god ape, it's rare to see you in this world. It'd be a pity to kill you. Are you willing to become my servant? Jiyu Fei's clone looked down at the Tongbi god ape on the ground and asked calmly. What? The moment they heard the words of Jiyu Fei's clone, all the living beings nearly fainted over. This human was way too ignorant of his own abilities. To think that he would want a remnant to be his servant. The moment Jiyu Fei's clone said something as such, all the living beings were even more shocked than the powerful being of the Ox Demon race falling right before their very eyes. After all, that was an extremely revered remnant. From the ancient times till now, there had never been any human who would dare to take in a remnant as a servant. How dare you belittle me as such? The Tongbi god ape was enraged. He was truly enraged right now. To think that a lowly human would dare to take him in as a servant. This was the most ridiculous thing he had ever heard in his entire life. I'm not belittling you. I'm just looking up to you. That's why I'm letting you be my servant. Jiyu Fei's clone replied calmly. You. The moment the Tongbi god ape heard this, he was so angry that he nearly spat out blood. The words of the other party were driving him crazy. All the other living beings were stunned as well. This human was simply way too brazen. To think that he would dare to say something as such. I'm looking up to you as well. For you to die under my battle spear is definitely an honor for you. Go to hell. The Tongbi god ape was truly enraged right now. He bolted up into the sky from the ground and pounced at Jiyu Fei's clone. The baleful aura on his body was torrential as though he was a demon. The Tongbi god ape used the battle spear in his hands as a rod and smashed it down at the head of Jiyu Fei's clone. An astral wind swept out instantly. I'll play with you then. As Jiyu Fei's clone said that, he stretched out his right hand and punched out at the incoming battle spear. Instantly, the fist made contact with the battle spear, causing the entire body of the spear to bend. The battle spear received a tremendous impact as countless runes appeared on its body. There was a tremendous amount of power that surged out from within the battle spear. However, even so, the Tongbi god ape was still affected by the impact and was sent flying. Bam! His back slammed into the stone statue at the side of the city gates. To think that the stone statue would sway from the impact. Every living being that witnessed this scene was simply going crazy. The noble divine son was actually sent flying by that lowly human. Could it be that the human clan was really going to rise? The human clan had been enslaved for countless years and had always wanted to get rid of this fate. However, every time the human clan showed signs of rising, they would be mercilessly suppressed by the various powerful clans. Therefore, it was impossible for the human clan to truly rise and break away from the fate of being enslaved. However, this time, all the living beings felt uneasy. Some of them directly left and reported what happened here back to their clans. This was especially so for the Tree People clan. This clan was a powerful clan near Firmament City and they had an ancient god overseeing it. Otherwise, the Tree People clan would not be so arrogant and domineering, wanting to eat Gu Fei's clone the moment they arrived. In this alternate world, the Celestial clan with an ancient god overseeing it was the truly powerful clan. Although the Ox Demon clan was powerful, they did not have an ancient god overseeing it. Therefore, the expert from the Ox Demon clan who was killed by Gu Fei's clone became the follower of the divine son Tongbi God Ape. The ruler of Firmament City was the Tongbi God Ape race. Roar. The Tongbi God Ape let out a furious roar. Both his legs pushed against the stone man and he turned into a ray of black light, attacking Gu Fei's clone. To think that he would be forced to retreat by a lowly human. This was definitely a great humiliation. He had to kill this lowly human in order to vent the anger in his chest. Swoosh. Gu Fei's clone dodged the attack in a flash. The murderous Tongbi God Ape's spear pierced through thin air. What? The Tongbi God Ape was taken aback. Just at this moment, a gigantic foot came down from the sky and stepped on the face of the Tongbi God Ape, causing him to fall from the sky. Ah! The Tongbi God Ape cried out tragically as he fell from the sky like a meteor. With a boom, he smashed into the ground, creating a bottomless pit. When the spectating demons and monsters in the surroundings saw this, their eyeballs nearly popped out of their sockets. They could clearly see that the incomparably noble divine son in their hearts had his face stepped on by this lowly human. Some of the female demons and monsters who admired the divine son felt their hearts ache even more. I want to kill all of the humans. A powerful being who followed the Tongbi God Ape roared out. Is that so? I'll kill you first. A cold voice boomed down from the sky. After that, a golden light flashed by. The person who said kill all of the humans did not even manage to let out a cry before his forehead was pierced by the sword light. His essence soul dispersed and he died. This. Chapter 2950. I'll say it once more. The human race is not to be bullied. Whoever dares to show disrespect to the human race, I'll kill that person. Gu Fei's doppelganger stood high up in the skies and scanned his surroundings. Wherever his gaze passed by, all the living beings could not help but feel their hearts palpitate, not daring to meet his gaze directly. Every single living being who caught sight of this was shocked to the extreme. This human was extremely strong. Not only was he decisive in killing, he could take someone's life with a single raise of his hand. That living being who had his forehead pierced by that golden beam of light and was killed instantly was a good example of that. You dare! Just at this moment, an extremely cold voice rang out from the ground. From that gigantic pit on the ground, a figure with a torrential aura walked out. The Tongbi God Ape was stomped down from the skies by Gu Fei's doppelganger earlier on. This was something that had him going crazy. Ever since he had stepped onto the path of cultivation, he had never been humiliated as such. At this moment, there was a clear footprint on his face. His nose was flushed red, and blood was seeping out of it continuously. However, one had to admit that the bones of this Tongbi God Ape were pretty tough. To think that his nose bridge would not be broken by that single stomp of Gu Fei's doppelganger. The Tongbi God Ape looked at the corpse of that living being on the ground. He then looked up at Gu Fei's doppelganger in the skies with a venomous gaze. Why wouldn't I dare? Even if you dare to look down on the human race, I'll kill you as well. Gu Fei looked at the Tongbi God Ape on the ground and chuckled indifferently. You're way too arrogant. The Tongbi god ape could sense the faint killing intent that was being emitted from this human. He knew that this human wasn't joking around. At this moment, none of the living beings dared to make a single sound. Even though those followers of the remnants were gritting their teeth and could not wait to devour this human alive, this human was way too strong. To think that even the remnants wouldn't be a match for him, even though these followers of the Tongbi god ape were willing to be ordered around by this remnant, this did not mean that they would die for him. These followers had a bottom line as well. Can you kill me? The divine ape suddenly grinned and tightened its grip on the battle spear. An extremely violent aura erupted from the divine ape's body. A shadow of a violent ape emerged from its body and charged at Jiu Fei's clone with bared fangs and brandished claws. Sigh, how do I put this? You guys from the god race really don't know what you're talking about. Jiu Fei's avatar shook his head helplessly. What did you say? The Tongbi divine ape was enraged. Was this fellow looking down on all the divine races? The words of Jiu Fei's doppelganger also angered all the monsters who called themselves the god race. All the living creatures were angry, but they didn't dare to say anything because they didn't want to die. Alright, I'll take this opportunity to officially announce that whoever still dares to treat humans as slaves will be executed no matter how far away they are. Jiu Fei's clone waved his hand and glanced at the countless living beings in the surroundings with a solemn expression before he spoke. What? Who does he think he is? An ancient god? How dare he do this? Some of the living beings were extremely shocked, especially the leaders of the clans that had been killed by Jiu Fei's clones. They were both shocked and furious. The Ox Demon clan, the Treeman clan, and the Sky Leopard clan all had experts from their clans killed by Jiu Fei's doppelganger. How arrogant. Do you really think that you alone can change the status of the god race that has been a slave for millions of years? The Tongbi divine ape laughed in anger. How do you know if you don't try? Jiu Fei's doppelganger said. You're going against the entire god race of the desolate world. Even if you're 10 times stronger, or even 100 times stronger, you still can't change everything. The Tongbi divine ape said in disdain. Is that so? You overestimate the so-called god race of this world and underestimate me. Jiu Fei's doppelganger said nonchalantly. So what if I underestimate you? Let me see what you're capable of. How dare you boast so shamelessly? The Tongbi divine ape looked up at the silhouette in the sky and grinned. Then, with the spear in his hand, he soared into the sky and once again attacked Jiu Fei's doppelganger. Vroom. The Tongbi divine ape extended his left hand and grabbed at Jiu Fei's doppelganger. This was the Tongbi divine ape's inherited killing technique, the star-picking palm. The entire hand covered the entire sky, sealing off all escape routes for Jiu Fei's doppelganger. Jiu Fei's doppelganger saw the Tongbi divine ape's killing technique and smiled. Then, he also extended his hand and grabbed at the Tongbi divine ape. What? The Tongbi divine ape was dumbfounded. The killing technique that the doppelganger used was the same as his, the star-picking palm. How could he not be dumbfounded? Boom. The two giant hands collided with a loud bang. The two forces exploded and the two giant hands dissipated in the void at the same time. The chaotic power formed an extremely powerful shockwave that spread in all directions. The void of the deserted world was extremely stable. The power of the two experts could not shake this part of the world. However, the vast energy ripples sent the countless living beings in the surroundings flying. Those fellows were undoubtedly extremely unlucky. Whoosh! The Tongbi divine ape held the spear in his hand and charged at Jiu Fei's doppelganger. The real Tongbi divine ape arrived before Jiu Fei's doppelganger in an instant. Only then did the after-image disappear. The Tongbi divine apes inherited Shen method, shrinking mountains. Jiu Fei's doppelganger said. At this time, he raised his right hand and used his fingers to clamp the tip of the spear that was about to pierce his forehead. The tip of the spear immediately stopped moving. The change in speed caused the hands of the Tongbi divine ape to suffer a great impact. The hands that were holding the battle spear shook violently and cracks appeared on the palms. The Tongbi divine ape was shocked. He almost lost his grip on the spear and was sent flying. He found it hard to believe that the doppelganger was so powerful that he only needed to use 2 fingers to clamp the tip of the spear that he thrust with all his strength. Ji Fei's clone was a little surprised. This Tongbi divine ape was also very extraordinary. It was actually able to hold onto the battle spear. If it was an ordinary creature, not to mention holding onto the battle spear, even their hands would have been shattered into a bloody mist. However, in the next moment, Ji Fei's doppelganger looked at the shocked divine ape Tongbi and suddenly grinned. Then, he exerted force with his 2 fingers on the spearhead of the battle spear. Crack! The spearhead of the battle spear was actually broken by his 2 fingers. How is this possible? The Tongbi divine ape's shock was no small matter. One should know that the spear in his hand was no ordinary relic weapon. It was an extremely powerful relic weapon that his father, the Tongbi divine ape, refined for him. A relic weapon refined by an ancient god was unimaginably powerful. However, the human before him easily broke the spear in his hand. Could it be? The Tongbi divine ape thought of an ancient legend. He couldn't help but be shocked. In the distant past, the humans of the deserted world were not weak. In that distant era, the humans were definitely the main characters of the world. All the divine races were enslaved by the humans. Even the strongest of the divine races were the same. However, no one knew what happened, but the powerful human race vanished in a single night. After that, the various celestial races were completely freed. Without the protection of their experts, the human race was reduced to slaves of the various celestial races. Countless years passed and this situation never changed. Could it be that the humans that disappeared in the distant past have returned? Just as the Tongbi divine ape was in a state of shock, a fist had already landed on his eye, sending the noble divine child flying. The so-called divine child is just SOSO. Ji Fei's doppelganger retracted his fist and said casually. This guy, hearing the words of Ji Fei's doppelganger, all the living beings watching from afar were completely speechless. You! The moment the Tongbi divine ape, who had just stabilized his body, heard the words of Ji Fei's doppelganger, he was so angry that he nearly spat out a mouthful of blood. Be my servant. Ji Fei's doppelganger tossed away the spear head in his hand and clapped his hands. Do you think that's possible? The Tongbi divine ape glared at Ji Fei's doppelganger and laughed coldly. The strength of this human before him had far exceeded his expectations. This human might not be any weaker than his father. The old Tongbi divine ape was an ancient god who had lived for countless years. He was one of the strongest beings in the deserted world. Could the cultivation state of this human be comparable to an ancient god? If you don't want to be my servant, there's only one outcome for you. Ji Fei's tone was still extremely calm. What outcome? The Tongbi divine ape asked. Die. Ji Fei's doppelganger said. The Tongbi divine ape race would rather die in battle than surrender, let alone be the servant of someone else. Stop dreaming. The Tongbi divine ape said fiercely. Highs, there's no other way then. The moment Ji Fei's doppelganger said that, the aura of his body changed. A chilling killing intent emanated from his body. Under the impact of this killing intent, the temperature of the surrounding void plummeted rapidly. The moment the Tongbi divine ape caught sight of this, he could not help but feel moved once more. It seemed like the other party had been hiding his true strength all this while. However, the Tongbi divine ape race loved to fight. The stronger the opponent they met, the more excited they would be. The Tongbi divine ape gripped onto the spear that had its head broken off and glared at the figure in the skies with a scorching gaze. The Tongbi divine ape race is almost impossible to find in this world. It would be a pity to kill you. I'll ask you one more time. Are you willing to be my servant? Ji Fei's doppelganger looked at the Tongbi divine ape and said calmly. Bullsh *T. I want you to be my servant. Are you willing or not? The Tongbi divine ape replied in disdain. He tried his best to resist against that overwhelming pressure that was descending down from the skies. Since that's the case, let me send you on your way then. Chapter 2951. If he couldn't tame them, he would kill them. This was Ji Fei's way of doing things. Since the Tongbi divine ape didn't want to be his servant, it was an enemy and enemies should be eliminated. No one was willing to let their enemy grow into a threat. An adult Tongbi divine ape was definitely one of the strongest creatures in the world. This Tongbi divine ape wasn't an adult yet. Rumble, at this moment, Ji Yufei's doppelganger instantly appeared above the divine ape's head and stomped down on its head. The space was shaking. Even though the space of the deserted world was extremely stable, it was still shaken by Ji Yufei's avatar's step. This was the 8 kill steps, 1 kill per step. Bang! Without any suspense, the Tongbi divine ape was once again stomped down by Ji Yufei's avatar. This time, Ji Yufei's avatar didn't show any mercy. Boom! The Tongbi divine ape fell from the sky and smashed onto the ground. The ground shook and another pit appeared. This time, the Tongbi divine ape's breath was weaker. What? This human really dares to kill the divine child? Seeing this scene, all the creatures watching from afar were shocked. This human was too arrogant. He dared to kill the divine child in front of the firmament city. One had to know that Kangcheong City was not a small city. There was an ancient god guarding this place. Perhaps, the legendary divine ape Tongbi was in the city. The Tongbi divine ape crawled out of the pit. At this time, the broken spear in his hand was nowhere to be seen. He was battered and exhausted, his entire body dripping with blood. His hands that were holding the spear were badly mangled, and who knew how many bones in his body were broken. All the creatures found it hard to imagine that the high and mighty divine child would end up in such a miserable state. The divine child was seriously injured. I was just getting serious and now you can't take it anymore. Ji Yufei's clone looked at the divine ape who was panting heavily on the ground with a faint smile on his face. This divine ape was far from being a match for him. Its cultivation base and combat strength were similar to the saints of the human realm and heaven realm, but it was not a saint. With this level of cultivation and combat ability, he was still not the god here. The god here, Ji Yufei guessed that the god here was the saint. The so-called ancient god might be the saint. Although the Tongbi divine ape's cultivation was infinitely close to the saint level, it was still not a saint level. Ji Yufei's doppelganger was just playing with this divine ape. You are a god. The Tongbi divine ape stared fiercely at the figure in the sky and said. The other party's arrogant and disdainful attitude had deeply hurt his arrogant heart. As the son of God, he definitely had the right to be arrogant. After all, his father was an ancient god who had become a god since ancient times. I'm not the god of your world, but I'm definitely stronger than your god. Ji Yufei's clone said proudly. Arrogant. At this moment, an old voice suddenly sounded. The 2 giant stone men standing on both sides of the city gate of Kangcheong City actually spoke. Haha, you're dead. The consequences of looking down on a god are very tragic. The Tongbi divine ape sneered. He was still coughing up blood. The kick from Ji Yufei's clone had injured him quite badly. He was already lucky to be able to survive. These pitiful guys. Ji Yufei's clone looked at the Tongbi divine ape and shook his head. There was a trace of pity on his face. Was the deserted world still in a barbaric era, an era where only the strong could survive? God. This was the most powerful existence recognized by countless living beings in the deserted world. It was also the ruler of the deserted world. Countless living beings worshipped the god, seeking the goddess protection. In the deserted world, the god was not a totem, but a truly powerful being. The deserted world was vast. Even a god as powerful as he was could only rule a small area. It was impossible for him to be the master of the entire deserted world. Ji Yufei's clone extended his right hand. The Tongbi divine ape that was lying on the ground like a dead dog immediately flew towards him. He grabbed the Tongbi divine ape's head. In the next moment, the power of the god's snatching secret technique surged from his hand and instantly enveloped the Tongbi divine ape's head. The Tongbi divine ape wanted to struggle, but very quickly, his movements stopped and his eyes became blurry. In the next moment, Ji Yufei's clone let go of the Tongbi divine ape and let it fall from the sky. I see. Ji Yufei's clone immediately read the Tongbi divine ape's memory and learned what kind of world the deserted world was. This world was similar to what he had guessed before. This so-called deserted world was a world that was similar to the primordial era of the human world in the ancient times. This fact shocked Ji Yufei's clone. There were unimaginable experts in the deserted world. These experts were the gods that the living beings of the deserted world spoke of. There were strong and weak gods in the deserted world. Ordinary gods had the cultivation of a saint, and the ancient gods were the extremely powerful saints. In this world, there were living beings that were even more powerful than the ancient gods. These living beings were known as rulers. However, such powerful living beings were hard to find even in the entire deserted world. Therefore, in the deserted world, the ancient gods that had lived for countless years ruled over the land. In the firmament city, there was also an ancient god guarding it. How dare you! At this moment, the two stone golems that stood on both sides of the city gate moved. One of the golems reached out to grab Ji Yufei's clone. An extremely strong wave of god power rippled out from the body of the stone golem. This stone golem was like a real god as he displayed his powerful fighting strength. The stone hand covered the sky, trying to grab Ji Yufei's clone. Ji Yufei's clone had no intention of dodging at all. The gigantic stone hand grabbed onto Ji Yufei's clone. This caused all the living beings who witnessed this scene to be extremely shocked. The attack of the stone golem was indeed powerful. The firmament city was guarded by the stone golems. This was something that everyone knew. However, the stone golems had stood there for thousands of years without any strange movements. Therefore, most of the living beings outside the city had never seen the power of the stone golems. The two stone golems guarding the city gate were very strong. At the very least, they were much stronger than the Tongbi godly ape. Haha, this arrogant human is finally going to get what he deserves. Seeing this, some living beings were overjoyed and exclaimed, "Serves him right. Who asked him to be so arrogant?" Some living beings said, "Looks like this human won't be able to escape the fate of destruction as well. What a relief." A powerful being of the Treant race said. This powerful being heaved a sigh of relief. This human was way too strong. If he didn't die, he would definitely be a huge threat to them. Now that the stone golems had made their move, this human was naturally dead meat. These two stone golems guarding the city gate of the firmament city were definitely not just for show. Even the gods of this world wouldn't dare to act so brazenly in the firmament city. If those two stone golems could kill a god, could it be that this human is even stronger than a god? Some of the older living beings said, "What? These two stone golems can kill gods?" All the other living beings were extremely shocked. These two stone golems had been standing at the entrance of the city for God knows how many years. Usually, as long as one entered or exited the city, they would see these two stone golems. However, none of them would have expected that these two stone golems would be this strong to be able to kill gods. However, all of the living beings shut their mouths in the next moment. This was because they could see the hand of the stone golem that was grabbing onto the human glowing brightly. A series of golden beams shot out from that hand as a tremendous amount of energy rippled out from it. How could this be? All of the living beings were dumbfounded. To think that the human who was grabbed by the stone golem was still alive. Boom! The hand of the stone golem exploded as a figure walked out of it. A stone golem that can kill gods. How could it be? The moment the older living beings saw this, their eyeballs nearly popped out of their sockets. This was simply unbelievable. Even the stone golem that could kill gods couldn't do anything to this human. Just then, Ji Yufei's doppelganger took a step forth and appeared before the stone golem instantly. He then punched out at the body of the stone golem. This stone golem was simply way too huge. In front of the stone golem, Ji Yufei's doppelganger looked like a tiny person the size of a finger. The difference in size between the two of them was simply way too great. However, Ji Yufei's clone, which was the size of a thumb-sized person, had shaken the golem that could kill a god. The area where the punch landed on the stone golem began to crack apart. Then, pieces of rocks began to fall off the body of the stone golem. Before long, the entire stone golem had turned into a pile of rocks. At this sight, all of the living beings were completely dumbfounded. This human was way too heaven-defying. One had to know that these two stone golems that were guarding the city gates had existed since ancient times. No one had ever been able to smash these two stone golems into pieces. However, everything that was happening right now was beyond the knowledge of the living beings of the Sky City. To think that one of the two stone golems would be smashed into pieces by a single punch from a human, all of the living beings found this hard to accept. At this moment, even the heavenly ape was scared out of his wits. To think that this human would be this sick. The moment he thought back to how he had just exchanged blows with this human, he could not help but break out in cold sweat. God. This human was definitely a god. Furthermore, he was a god that was far more powerful than most gods. The heavenly ape crushed a jade talisman in his hand. In the next moment, an aura so strong that it caused all living beings to tremble surged out from within the Sky City. All of the living beings were terrified to the extreme as they sprawled onto the ground involuntarily, kowtowing towards the Sky City. It was as though they were worshipping an unparalleled god. Just then, Jiu Fei's doppelganger struck out once more, smashing the stone golem into pieces with a single punch. Human. Just then, a pair of blood-red eyes appeared in the skies above the Sky City. This pair of eyes was glaring at Jiu Fei's doppelganger outside the city. Has the main character finally appeared? Chapter 2952. Jiu Fei's doppelganger struck out and destroyed the two stone men who had been guarding the Sky City for countless years. This shocked countless of the so-called celestial race. Just as all the living beings who claimed to be from the celestial race were dumbfounded, an old voice rang out from within the city. After that, a pair of blood-red eyes appeared in the sky above the city. So the main character has finally appeared. Jiu Fei's doppelganger looked at the pair of blood-red eyes in the sky above the city and revealed a playful expression. Human, how dare you challenge the celestial race? The pair of blood-red eyes in the sky stared at Jiu Fei's clone outside the city. A wave of divine will spread out from the blood-red eyes and a voice rang out in his mind. TSK, Dogsh*T celestial race. They're just a bunch of monsters. Jiu Fei's doppelganger said in disdain. Just at this moment, a strong force rippled out from the pair of blood-red eyes. Outside the city, the Tongbi god ape, who was lying on the ground like a dead dog, disappeared. Void shift. Seeing this, Jiu Fei's doppelganger did not stop it. This Tongbi god ape was not an adult yet and posed no threat to him. Of course, even if it was an adult Tongbi god ape, he wouldn't be afraid. The Tongbi god ape was rescued by that strong existence in the city. Very soon, the Tongbi god ape that was rescued appeared on the city walls once again. The injuries on its body seemed to have healed in an instant. Human, ant, your death date has arrived. The Tongbi god ape pointed at Jiu Fei's doppelganger who was standing in the void outside the city and shouted. If looks could kill, Jiu Fei's doppelganger would have died many times over. If I don't kill you, you should be more obedient. In front of me, you're the ant. Do you understand? Jiu Fei's doppelganger stared at the Tongbi god ape and narrowed his eyes. An extremely strong aura emanated from his body, as if he was a golden god of war from ancient times. The powerful pressure radiating from his body caused all living beings to tremble in fear. Living beings with weaker cultivations even vomited blood as they retreated and hid far away. God, he's definitely a god. A being of the older generation exclaimed in horror. A god of the human clan. All the beings who called themselves the celestial race were shocked. A god had appeared in the human clan. This was definitely enough to affect the entire wasteland world. One must know that for countless of years, the human race had always been the slaves of the various celestial races. The only outcome for the human race was to be enslaved by the celestial races. But now, there was a god amongst the slaves. This was absolutely unimaginable. The celestial race would not allow a god to appear in the human clan. However, just as Jiu Fei's doppelganger challenged the celestial race in the firmament city, the gods of the human clan also appeared in other parts of the wasteland world. Moreover, the gods of the human clan seemed to have appeared all of a sudden. They directly fought against the gods of the celestial race. There were even some divine cities of the celestial race that had fallen. The gods of the celestial race were killed by the gods of the human clan. Their blood dyed the earth red. Of course, this news had not yet spread to the firmament city. In the wasteland world, the territories ruled by the celestial race were like independent countries. News spread between each other was not that fast. Of course, the celestial race had their own spies in each other's territories to monitor each other's every move. However, it was not easy to spread news from the territories ruled by each other. This time, the celestial race that entered the wasteland world from the ancient celestial court in the heaven realm were all holy venerables. In other words, they were existences equivalent to the ancient gods in the wasteland world. The sudden appearance of such a powerful group of people in the wasteland world caused an uproar. At this time, outside the firmament city, Ji Yufei's doppelganger directly slammed his palm towards the pair of blood-red eyes in the sky above the firmament city. A monstrous golden light rushed out from his palm. Like a stormy sea, it slammed towards the pair of eyes in the void. Rumble, a shocking sound rang out in the void. It was as if thousands of horses were galloping. The golden light illuminated the entire world in a golden color. A cold laugh rang out. Then, the pair of blood-red eyes in the sky above the firmament city suddenly burst with a bloody light. Within the bloody light, one could vaguely see blood-red runes faintly appearing and intertwining. The bloody light and the golden light collided in an instant. The void shook, but it did not break. Ripples visible to the naked eye spread in all directions. The pair of blood-red eyes in the sky above the firmament city disappeared. The bloody light and the golden light dissipated in the void at the same time. Ji Yufei's doppelganger looked solemnly at the void within the firmament city. At this time, all the living beings in the firmament city were inexplicably shocked. This human could actually fight against a god. How was this possible? The Tongbi divine ape on top of the city wall almost had his eyeballs fall out. He looked at this scene in disbelief. How could this human be so strong? One should know that gods were supreme existences, especially ancient gods. They were invincible in the wasteland world. They ruled over an area and were the rulers of an area. Who dared to challenge a god? This was something that rarely happened since ancient times. Just when all the living beings could not believe what they were seeing, a figure walked out from the firmament city. It was an old man with a head full of white hair. In his hand, he held a long staff that was surrounded by golden light. Father, the Tongbi divine ape on top of the city wall saw the old man and could not help but be excited. What? He is the Tongbi ancient god. Some living beings who knew the background of the Tongbi divine ape could not help but exclaim after hearing the words of the Tongbi divine ape. Ancient god Tongbi was the ruler of the firmament city. The old man's cultivation had already reached the stage of returning to the original state. There was no strong aura emitting from his body. He was just like any other ordinary old man. However, no one dared to treat this old man as an ordinary old man. One should know that this old man was an invincible existence in the firmament city. When Ji Yufei's doppelganger saw this old man, his pupils dilated. This was an old ape. A powerful ape that even made his heart palpitate. Swoosh. Without any hesitation, Ji Yufei's doppelganger disappeared into the void. Trying to escape. The old man stretched out his hand and a huge hand covered the entire heaven and earth. A figure was pulled out of the void by this huge hand. Roar. Ji Yufei's doppelganger let out a furious roar. Golden light shot out from his body and the heaven-punishing sword slashed through everything, including the huge hand. He then dashed out. Hey! The old man was a little surprised. He had underestimated this human. Swoosh. Ji Yufei's doppelganger disappeared into the void once again. However, the old man stretched out his right hand and slapped at the void. A figure immediately fell out of the void, and with a bang, the figure exploded in the void. Seeing this scene, all of the living beings were stupefied. The attack of an ancient god was indeed extraordinary, to be able to kill this extremely arrogant human with a single move. Some of the humans saw this scene and could not help but beat their chests and cry. They thought that the human race could make a comeback. Who knew that their god would be killed by the ancient god? Ha ha ha, who asked you to be arrogant? No matter how arrogant you are, you still have to die. On top of the city wall, the Tongbi divine ape laughed out loud. This despicable guy finally died in the hands of his father. This allowed him to vent his anger. Ancient god Tongbi is invincible. Someone shouted loudly. Ancient god Tongbi is invincible. Gradually, someone followed suit. Then, the entire Sky City was filled with thunderous voices. Countless living beings were shouting and worshipping the old man. However, at this moment, ancient god Tongbi's face was solemn. Just then, in the void outside the Sky City, a figure appeared. It was the doppelganger of Jiyu Fei who had his body destroyed by the old man. How is this possible? Countless living beings were dumbfounded. This human was truly heaven-defying. His body was destroyed by the ancient god and he was still alive. Something is strange. The old man stared at the human race cultivator outside the Skydome City as he spoke. Jiyu Fei's clone didn't say anything. Instead, he disappeared into the void again, trying to escape into the void and leave this place. However, the old man was too strong. His strength was enough to seal the entire space. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger could not escape at all. Once again, he was forced out of the void by the old man. This is preposterous. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger could not help but panic. This ancient god Tongbi or whatnot was just a quasi-supreme. His luck was simply too good to be able to bump into a quasi-supreme in such a situation. The strength of a quasi-supreme was undeniable. Even though Jiyu Fei's doppelganger was strong, he knew his own limits. He was no match for a quasi-supreme. However, this doppelganger possessed an undying divinity. Even a quasi-supreme would find it difficult to destroy this doppelganger. If you want to fight, let's fight. Seeing that there was no hope of escape, Jiyu Fei's doppelganger used one of the 9 secrets of the immortal path, the Ascension secret skill. His aura was rising rapidly. Rumble, the void trembled as an extremely terrifying aura burst forth from Jiyu Fei's doppelganger. Golden Tao patterns interweaved on his body. Countless living beings looked at the golden figure in the sky in fear. It was only now that these living beings realized that this human was strong enough to challenge an ancient god. Is this your true strength? Chapter 2953. Ancient god Tongbi's battle prowess had long surpassed the level of a holy master. He was an existence that had already taken that step. In the desolate world, such an existence was known as a ruler. No living creature knew that Tongbi had already taken that step and was known as a ruler. Such an existence, in the human realm and the heavenly realm, was a quasi-supreme. Rumble, the void trembled. The battle prowess of Jiyu Fei's avatar soared. The void around him trembled and an extremely dazzling golden light exploded from his body. The entire world was illuminated by the golden light emitted by Jiyu Fei's avatar. The supreme divine might spread out, causing all living creatures to feel great pressure. Some of the weaker beings were sent flying while coughing up blood. Some of them even fell from the sky and crashed onto the ground. Although they didn't die, their bones and tendons were broken. They were in an extremely sorry state. This is your true strength. Ancient god Tongbi stood in the sky above the firmament city and looked at Jiyu Fei's avatar outside the city. A strange look flashed across his eyes. This human seemed a bit strange. He didn't seem like an ordinary human at all. Jiyu Fei's avatar snorted and looked at the ancient god above the firmament city. He never thought that there would be such a powerful existence in this giant city. A quasi-supreme. This guy is actually a quasi-supreme. Jiyu Fei's avatar groaned. Although he used the secret technique of ascension, he knew very well that such an existence was definitely not something he could deal with. Quasi-supremes were existences second only to supremes. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger was, after all, just a doppelganger. Even if he used the Heaven Ascension secret technique, it was impossible for him to contend against such an existence. But now, he had to go all out because he couldn't escape. Since he couldn't escape, he could only fight. He didn't know if Old Man Qin Huang was still nearby. If Old Man Qin Huang wasn't nearby, he would be in grave danger. This guy is actually this powerful. On top of the city, the Tongbi god ape was incomparably shocked. He realized that he had severely underestimated this human. This human wasn't some god, but an ancient god. The difference between a god and an ancient god was huge. An ancient god could easily destroy a god. The other living beings were dumbfounded as well. Who would have thought that this human would be strong enough to challenge ancient god Tongbai? This was way too unbelievable. Come, let me see how powerful the quasi-supremes of this world are. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger stared at the old man holding the golden rod and said, "You are from the outer world." Ancient god Tongbei's snow-white eyebrows couldn't help but twitch. The other living beings didn't understand what Jiyu Fei's clone meant, but he did. So what if I am? So what if I am not? Jiyu Fei's avatar chuckled. Outside a human, seems like there's a need for me to capture you. Ancient god Tongbei sternly said. Come and give it a try then. Jiyu Fei's avatar said proudly. Even though he knew that he wasn't a match for the other party, it wouldn't be an easy task for the other party to capture him. All right. The old man nodded his head. He then extended his arm and grabbed at Jiyu Fei's avatar. Instantly, his arm shrouded the entire world, trapping Jiyu Fei's avatar within it. This was the killing skill of the Tongbei god ape race, known as the star-seizing palm. The power of the star-seizing palm used by the old Tongbei god ape was naturally incomparable to the one used by the young Tongbei god ape. This single grab from the old Tongbei god ape sealed off all paths of retreat for Jiyu Fei's avatar as a powerful Dao law sealed the entire world. Roar! Jiyu Fei's avatar roared out and used the 9 secrets of the immortal's way. An immortal light burst forth from his body, turning into an indestructible sword light that tore through the void that was sealed by the star-seizing palm. Yes. When the old Tongbei god ape saw that Jiyu Fei's avatar could escape from the void that he had sealed, he couldn't help but feel surprised. He could tell that the other party's cultivation state was much lower than his. The cultivation state of this human was equivalent to an ancient god. However, the old Tongbei god ape had long surpassed an ancient god. If it were any other ordinary ancient god, they definitely wouldn't be able to dodge this grab of his. The old Tongbei god ape was very confident in his own cultivation state and fighting power. Shroud. Just then, the old Tongbei god ape took a step forth and disappeared from where he was instantly. The next moment, when he reappeared, he was already in the sky above Jiyu Fei's avatar. He stomped down on Jiyu Fei's avatar. Instantly, there was the sound of wind and thunder beneath his feet as a horrifying destructive power descended from his feet. What? Jiyu Fei's avatar was shocked. The speed that the old ape had displayed shocked him. This speed was way too fast. It wasn't any slower than his desolate steps. Dissipate. Jiyu Fei's avatar used one of the 9 secrets of the celestial path, the word Wu. The power of the word Wu surged from his hands, turning the horrifying destructive power that was descending from the sky into nothingness. Hey! The old Tongbei god ape was shocked. He didn't expect that the ancient god of the human race would be able to dispel his attack. This was unbelievable. The cultivation method of the Outer Realm human clan was indeed unique. The old Tongbei god ape couldn't help but be moved. His opponent's cultivation state wasn't as high as his, but the skill that he used was extremely powerful. Even he was jealous of such a skill. This old ape had lived for countless years and was an ancient relic in the desolate world. Naturally, he knew many secrets of the desolate world. In the distant past, there was once a group of extremely powerful humans that appeared in the desolate world. This group of humans nearly conquered the entire desolate world. However, for some unknown reason, the group of humans left the deserted world and never showed up again. As a result, the powerful humans became a taboo in the desolate world. The only ancient god of the desolate world forbade the living beings in the desolate world from talking about them. As time went by, the living beings in the desolate world forgot about the powerful humans. After countless years, everything related to the humans was buried in the river of time and was no longer mentioned by the living beings in the desolate world. However, the living beings in the desolate world had truly forgotten about the powerful humans. The answer was naturally no. For example, the Tongbei god ape race was one of the few races in the desolate world that knew the truth. All the powerful celestial races were worried that the events of the distant past would happen again. And this day really did come. The humans from the desolate world had appeared again. The old Tongbi god ape naturally wanted to capture this human and learn about the situation of the humans from the desolate world. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy and you will emerge victorious. The old Tongbi god ape was actually very curious about the humans from the desolate world. Kill. Jiyu Fei's avatar was filled with murderous intent. He used the power of the secret word Wu to dispel the old Tongbi god ape stomp and then shot into the sky. The power of the secret word Wu exploded again and the old Tongbi god ape was instantly enveloped by the power of the secret word Wu. In the next moment, the old Tongbi god ape's energy was continuously being eroded by the secret word Wu. The old ape's energy was rapidly weakening and his cultivation was continuously being destroyed. What a powerful technique! The old Tongbi divine ape was incomparably shocked. A wave of quasi-supreme energy burst forth from his body, causing the void to tremble. The power of the Wu character that enveloped him was immediately dispersed. The power of a quasi-supreme being spread out, causing pitch-black spatial cracks to appear in the void. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger only felt an irresistible force slam into him. His entire body was immediately sent flying thousands of feet away, falling into the mountain ridges outside Kangcheong City. The outsider race does have some skills indeed. But, it's a pity that he's no match for me. The old Tongbi god ape muttered to himself. However, his expression changed immediately. T, the old Tongbi god ape took a step out and instantly appeared above the mountain where Jiyu Fei's avatar fell. A wave of consciousness enveloped the entire mountain. However, he realized in shock that the human from the outsider race had disappeared without a trace. Even he couldn't sense the existence of the human. Preposterous. He sure runs fast. The old Tongbi god ape raged. His plan of capturing this outsider alive had failed. This made him extremely unhappy. One should know that he was the ruler of the firmament city. I don't believe that you can escape. The old Tongbi god ape displayed his mystic arts and his consciousness instantly enveloped the entire void. However, he realized in shock that he still couldn't sense the aura of the human from the outsider race. How is this possible? The old Tongbi divine ape was no longer calm. And at this moment, an aura that was strong enough to go against him appeared in his senses. What? The old Tongbi god ape was shocked. In his own territory, there was a living being that could fight against him. Could it be that he was here for him? At this moment, the living being also sensed the existence of the old Tongbi god ape. Then, the living being appeared before the old Tongbi god ape. Human. Human race. When the old Tongbi god ape caught sight of the living being that had appeared, he was shocked once more. This living being that could fight against him was actually a human as well. I didn't think that there would be such an ape in this world. When the person saw the old Tongbi god ape, he was surprised as well. This person had a head full of white hair but a pair of golden eyebrows. He was tall and had a majestic appearance. It was Emperor Qin. An outsider. Is the desolate world going to change? Chapter 2954. The old ape performed a great technique. His divine sense covered 100,000 miles in an attempt to find Jiyu Fei's clone. However, Jiyu Fei's clone didn't find him. Instead, he attracted the attention of an outsider of the human race. The humans of the desolate world were the slaves of the celestial races. In the desolate world, the human race didn't even have a god. It was impossible for there to be a ruler of the human race. However, the old ape was facing a true ruler of the human race. How was this possible? The old ape was shocked. He couldn't believe it. Such a ruler must have entered the desolate world from the outside world. He was an outsider. In the knowledge of the experts of the desolate world, there were worlds beyond the desolate world. In the distant past, powerful humans from the outside world came to the desolate world. Now, these powerful humans from the outside world came again. The old ape was shocked when he thought of this. The desolate world was about to undergo a great change. It was the biggest turmoil in history because an outsider had arrived. This world shocked me. Long by divine ape, one of the 4 extinct ancient apes. I can't believe there is still its bloodline here. Elder Qin Emperor sized up the old ape in front of him. At this moment, he also noticed the young Tongbi divine ape on top of the city wall of Kangcheong City. From this, it could be seen that the Long by divine ape race lived here and didn't go extinct. Plus, the old ape before him was a quasi-supreme. This world really shocked old man Qin Emperor. Previously, when he entered this world, he had encountered a primal chaos saint venerable who had cultivated to the level of a primal chaos divine stone. And now, he encountered a pseudo-supreme being. There really were so many powerful creatures in this world. Emperor Qin couldn't help but be surprised. The laws of heaven and earth here were very strong. The void of heaven and earth was very stable. Most importantly, the spiritual qi here was much thicker than the spiritual qi in the mortal world and the heavenly realm. Powerful laws of the heavens and earth, coupled with dense spiritual qi of the heavens and earth, would naturally give birth to incomparably powerful living beings. Obviously, the living beings in this world were much more powerful than the living beings in the human realm and heaven realm. It seemed that the expert who sealed the ancient heaven court relic wanted to stop the living beings from entering the heavenly realm through the passage in the relic. The Qin Emperor thought to himself, "Old ape, are you willing to be my servant?" Old man Qin Emperor said. What? When the old celestial ape heard this, he was dumbfounded. This guy was too arrogant. He wanted to take me as his servant the moment he arrived. So what if you are the ruler of the human race? I am still the ruler of Firmament City. With your cultivation, you are qualified to be my servant. The old man Qin Emperor said indifferently. You're courting death. The old Tongbi divine ape stretched out his hand and used the star-seizing palm to grab at old man Qin Huang. His hand instantly enveloped the entire void. The world suddenly darkened, as if night had suddenly descended. The pitch-black hand seemed to have grasped the entire world in its hand. Above the hand, there were balls of lightning that appeared and revolved around the hand like stars. The power of lightning. Emperor Qin was a little surprised when he saw this scene. This old ape was not simple. He had actually cultivated the great path of lightning. Such an existence was like a living creature born from lightning, and he could attract terrifying heavenly punishment with just a thought. Rumble, a series of extremely deep thunder boomed in the void. Between the balls of lightning, there were streaks of lightning that could be seen by the naked eye connecting together, forming a huge electric net that shrouded towards the old man Qin Emperor. Not bad. This is interesting. The old man Qin Emperor raised his head and looked at the huge hand and the electric net that shrouded him. He still looked calm. Swoosh. Just as the huge hand was about to grab his body along with the endless thunderballs and electric arcs, an extremely powerful figure suddenly dashed out from old man Qin Huang's body, opening up a part of the world. The figure that emerged from the body of the Qin Emperor was too powerful. It was as if it was splitting the heavens and earth apart. An extremely powerful law of Tao exploded from the figure. The figure used his hands to open up a piece of heaven and earth, and forcefully pushed away the huge hand that was grabbing at him. What? The old Tongbi divine ape was extremely shocked. The strength of the ruler of the human race was far beyond his imagination. Even his star-seizing palm couldn't gain the upper hand. After the powerful figure that emerged from the body of the old man Qin Emperor pushed away the huge hand of the old ape, it also reached out to grab at the old Tongbi divine ape. Rumble. The blurry figure displayed an extremely powerful wave of energy. The huge hand that was grabbing at the old ape actually emitted a towering divine flame that lit up the entire heaven and earth. The wave of energy of a quasi-supreme martial artist spread out, and the entire void looked like it was about to collapse from the heat. It was terrifying. This, in the direction of the Kangcheong city, all the living beings were extremely terrified. One should know that it was a battle between two rulers, and the aura that spread out was extremely terrifying. The powerful living beings in the Kangcheong city were all alarmed. Even some living beings that had been in seclusion for countless years were awakened from their deep slumber. That old ape. An old voice came from the Kangcheong city. At this moment, a figure flew over at high speed from the distant sky. Boom! It smashed onto the huge city wall, and actually created a huge hole in the extremely hard city wall. What? The young Tongbi divine ape on the city wall saw this scene and almost fell to the ground in fear. The living being that flew over from the distant sky and directly smashed through the city wall was his old father. Father! How is this possible? The young Tongbi divine ape was scared silly. In his heart, his old father was an invincible existence, the ruler of the Kangcheong city. In the desolate world, the ruler was absolutely invincible. No living being could go against the ruler. This was something that was publicly acknowledged in the desolate world. But now, the ruler of the Kangcheong city was actually beaten back to the Kangcheong city, and his own city wall was smashed into a huge hole. All the living beings in the Kangcheong city were extremely shocked. The old man Qin Emperor was extremely powerful. He directly used his great magic to send the old Tongbi divine ape flying, and then took a step forward. His invincible figure directly appeared in the sky above the Kangcheong city. The so-called divine race experts in the Kangcheong city were trembling. When they saw the figure in the sky, they were even more shocked. Human, it's actually the human race. A god race powerhouse cried out in alarm. How is this possible? The Lord Ruler was defeated by a human. Some divine race experts roared madly in disbelief. How is this possible? None of the divine race experts dared to believe what they saw. The human race was a slave, a lowly race. How could there be such a powerful existence? The human race was extremely weak in the desolate world. This was what the divine race of the desolate world knew. In the desolate world, there were many humans. They were like ants, but they were all enslaved by the major divine races, and even became food for some of them. The humans in the desolate world were not the main characters. They lived at the bottom of the world, and the divine race could decide the life and death of a human at will. Roar! Just as the countless divine race experts in the Kangcheong city were shocked, an angry roar came from the city. Then, a figure rushed out from the city and came before the old man Qin Emperor. It was the old Tongbi divine ape that was sent flying by the old man Qin Emperor and smashed through the city wall. You are no match for me. Be my servant and I will not kill you. Qin Emperor looked at the old Tongbi divine ape in front of him and said casually. On his body, illusory figures appeared indistinctly. Damn it. The old Tongbi divine ape was furious. He stared at the human ruler fiercely. However, the other party's strength was beyond his expectations. Although he was furious, he did not dare to act recklessly. Just as the old Tongbi divine ape and the old man Qin Emperor were facing off in the sky above the Kangcheong city, Ji Yufei's clone had already left the Kangcheong city and entered an endless mountain range. This place was too big. In the endless mountain range, there were countless mountain spirits and water monsters. Among these mountain spirits and water monsters, there were also some extremely powerful existences. When Ji Yufei's clone passed by a mountain with a black aura, an earth-shattering roar came from the peak of the mountain. The roar echoed in the mountains for a long time. He stopped and focused his gaze. At the peak of the black mountain, there was an extremely powerful creature roaring at the sky. A powerful aura spread out from the mountain peak. When he saw that creature, he was slightly surprised. The reason for that was because that creature was shaped like a Chileen, but it had a pair of ancestral dragon horns on its head. Dragon Clan. Ji Yufei's clone was shocked. This living being with ancestral dragon horns was very powerful. In terms of the desolate world's cultivation realm, this living being was a god. However, in terms of the cultivation realm of the human realm and the heavenly realm, this living being was a sacred beast, a sacred beast. With a thought, Ji Yufei's clone disappeared in the next moment. When he reappeared, he was already at the peak of the Black Mountain. The living being with ancestral dragon horns was still roaring at the sky. It did not seem to notice that someone had appeared behind it. The powerful aura of a true dragon exploded from the living being. This living being was probably a powerful being of the dragon clan. Moreover, it might have ancestral dragon blood within it. One should know that not every living being could grow ancestral dragon horns. Very well. Ji Yufei's clone stretched out his right hand and pressed down on the living being. In the next moment, the living being was pressed to the ground by a powerful force. Chapter 2955. At the peak of Black Mountain, a mythological beast that looked like a Chileen but had the horns of an ancestral dragon was lying on the ground, constantly roaring. A terrifying aura spread out, shaking the entire Black Mountain. However, a large hand pressed down on the mythological beast. No matter how hard the mythological beast struggled, it could not stand up. The mythological beast was shocked and angry. It was the god of this mountain, yet it had been plotted against. Could it be that the guy in Black Wind Valley had plotted against it? Submit to me and become my servant, and you will live. If you don't submit, you will die. A voice sounded in the mythological beast's mind. What? Hearing that, the dragon-horn Chileen could not help but be shocked. This creature was not the guy in Black Wind Valley. Who was this creature, and why did he attack it? Just as the dragon-horn Chileen beast was thinking about this, the irresistible force that came down from the sky increased a bit. Bang! The extremely hard black rock beneath the dragon-horn Chileen cracked, and the mythological beast's body sank into the ground. Damn it! What kind of hero is sneaking an attack from behind? If you have the guts, fight me one-on-one. The dragon-horn Chileen roared angrily. It was not convinced. The other party had taken advantage of it being unprepared to suddenly attack it. This made it so angry that it kept roaring. TCH, you think you can fight me one-on-one? Alright, since you are not convinced, then as you wish, let's fight one-on-one. Gu Fei's avatar smiled and then retracted his right hand. The next moment, the dragon-horn Chileen felt its body lighten. The powerful force that was pressing down on it instantly disappeared, which made it overjoyed. Roar! The dragon-horn Chileen roared angrily, and a terrifying force exploded from its body. Boom! With a loud noise, the entire Black Mountain exploded, and black dust rose high into the sky. Countless black rocks shot in all directions, and on the solid body of the Black Mountain, hideous cracks appeared. Gu Fei's clone, who was standing in the air above Black Mountain, did not dodge. The stones seemed to have hit an invisible wall when they were 3 feet away from him. They shattered into black dust and scattered down from the sky. At this moment, a powerful figure burst out of the dust cloud and pounced at Ancient Fei's clone in an incomparably ferocious manner. The dragon-horn Chileen beast was ferocious, and it was itching to tear the creature that dared to sneak up on it into pieces. However, at this moment, a huge foot appeared directly in front of it. In the next moment, with a bang, that huge foot stepped on its face. The dragon-horn Chileen beast let out a blood-curdling screech as it was sent flying by the huge foot. A stream of blood spurted out of its nose, and a few sharp teeth flew out of its mouth. When the dragon-horn Chileen stabilized its body, it was about to go crazy. This guy had actually stepped on its face. This was definitely a great humiliation. There was a footprint in the middle of the dragon-horn Chileen beast's face, and its nose was bleeding. Gu Fei's clone's foot caused the divine beast's vision to darken and stars to dance in the air. It almost fainted, and a crack even appeared on its forehead. The dragon-horn Chileen beast was inconsolable. Since its debut, it had never had its face stepped on by a creature. This was the first time. The divine beast almost spat out blood at the thought of this. You what? You want me to fight you one-on-one? What's the result? Quickly surrender to me. Let me tell you, my patience is limited. If you keep squeaking, I'll eat you. Gu Fei's doppelganger said. You are a human. At this time, the dragon-horn Chileen beast finally realized something was wrong. The creature that dared to step on its face was a human. How was this possible? My face was stepped on by a human. The dragon-horn Chileen beast wanted to die. If this were to get out, it would no longer have the face to stay in the cultivation community of the desolate world. Phut, is it so embarrassing to have your face stepped on by a human? I did it because I think highly of you. Gu Fei's doppelganger said disapprovingly. What? The dragon-horn Chileen beast almost fainted from anger. I don't need you to think highly of me. Cut the crap. Submit or die. Choose one. Gu Fei's doppelganger was getting impatient. One should know that it was still being chased by the old ape. The ape was extremely powerful and could catch up at any time. When the dragon-horn Chileen heard this, Its mind trembled. It knew that the human in front of it was extremely powerful and definitely had the ability to kill it. It had cultivated for countless years and finally became a god. It was very unwilling to die like this. I am willing to surrender. The dragon horn Chilean beast knelt down towards Jiu Fei's doppelganger in the air. As a god of the desolate world, it was naturally extraordinary. He had long since seen how strong this human was. The only thing he could do right now was to stay alive before anything else. If he were to die, everything would be gone as well. Very good. A wise man submits to circumstances. You are very sensible and have a bright future. I think highly of you, Jiu Fei's doppelganger said with a smile. Then, he performed a secret technique and planted a seal on the dragon horn Chilean beast. If the beast was disloyal to him and wanted to betray him, he could destroy the beast with a single thought. The dragon horn Chilean beast knew that it had completely lost its freedom and had become the servant of this human. At this thought, it could not help but feel dejected. Following me is definitely not a bad thing. The future will be beyond your imagination. Jiu Fei's doppelganger took a look at the dragon horn Chilean beast and said such words. The dragon horn Chilean beast did not speak, but in its mind, it was cursing all the ancestors of Jiu Fei's doppelganger. Naturally, it did not know that Jiu Fei's doppelganger was not a real human. Alright, tell me, where is the territory of the ancient god of chaos? Jiu Fei's doppelganger did not have time to pay attention to what the dragon horn Chilean beast was thinking. He had to leave and then tell the situation here to his original body. Although there was a subtle connection between the doppelganger and the original body, Jiu Fei's doppelganger and the original body were separated by a large world. No matter how powerful the original body was, it was impossible for him to perceive what was happening in the desolate world. Only when Jiu Fei's doppelganger returned to the heaven realm would Jiu Fei's original body know what had happened in the desolate world. Jiu Fei's doppelganger had read the memories of the young celestial ape's soul. Naturally, he knew everything about the desolate world and even some of its secrets. The most powerful beings in the desolate world were the sovereigns. The sovereigns here were actually quasi-sovereigns. There were not many sovereigns in the entire desolate world, but this was enough to shock Jiu Fei's doppelganger. It should be noted that the number of sovereigns in the desolate world was definitely much more than the number of quasi-sovereigns in the human realm and the heaven realm. This was definitely not a good thing for the human realm and the heaven realm. To the human realm and the heaven realm, the desolate world was a foreign world. Perhaps the desolate world was Ming Qiong's hometown. Otherwise, how could he have sensed the aura of his hometown in the ruins of the ancient heavenly court? What, you want to go to the territory of the ancient god of chaos? Hearing this, the dragon horn Chilean beast was absolutely shocked. One should know that the territory of the ancient god was not a place that outsiders could easily enter, especially powerful creatures. Barging into the territory of the ancient god would risk being discovered by the ancient god and then being killed by the ancient god. Once discovered by the ancient god, the consequences would be unpredictable. The dragon horn Chilean beast did not want to die. Can't I? Jiu Fei's doppelganger said disapprovingly. Alright, since you are not afraid, why should I be afraid? I will bring you there. The dragon horn Chilean beast clenched its teeth and said. Since this guy wanted to die, it would be the best. As long as this guy was dead, it would be able to regain its freedom. The divine beast's eyes were constantly flickering with radiance. Very well. Jiu Fei's doppelganger took a step forward and landed on the back of the dragon horn Chilean beast. Haha, it's not bad to have such a mount. Jiu Fei's doppelganger laughed out loud. The appearance of the dragon horn Chilean beast was really good. With the body of a Chilean and the horns of an ancestral dragon, it would definitely look cool to ride on such a divine beast. To think that it had become the mount of a human. The dragon horn Chilean beast did not feel good about being ridden by a human. It was too unlucky to have met such a powerful human. The dragon horn Chilean beast carried Jiu Fei's doppelganger on its back and galloped forward. Soon, it disappeared into the horizon. Its speed was not slow at all. Just as Jiu Fei's doppelganger subdued the dragon horn Chilean beast, Elder Qin Emperor and the old ape were engaged in a fierce battle in Firmament City hundreds of thousands of miles away. The two supreme experts soared into the sky and fought their way into the starry sky. Their terrifying aura spread in all directions, alerting many powerful beings in the desolate world. What's going on? There are two sovereigns fighting. Some powerful beings looked up into the sky and exclaimed in shock. Paragons were invincible beings in the desolate world. Usually, paragons were not even seen, let alone when two paragons were fighting. Battles between paragons weren't normally possible, because they were frightening and could have serious consequences. Paragons in the desolate world avoided fighting with other paragons. But now, in the starry sky, a battle between paragons had broken out. Soon, the news spread, and everyone was shocked. In fact, there had been sudden god-level battles in various parts of the desolate world, and powerful humans had appeared in this part of the world. Many gods and even ancient gods had been killed by human experts who had appeared out of nowhere. Chapter 2956. Gu Fei's doppelganger only received limited information about the chaotic ancient god from the memories of the divine ape. He only knew that the chaotic ancient god hadn't appeared for nearly 1,000 years. He had a premonition that the so-called primal chaos ancient god might be the chaos stone golem that had battled with the void quasi-supremacy in the area near the light sphere. If it was really that chaos stone man, then it wouldn't be an ancient god, but a ruler. The place where the chaotic ancient god resided was a desolate domain, a region shrouded in chaotic air. In this region, there was a terrifying divine mountain. Any living creature that approached the divine mountain would be killed by some kind of power on the mountain. Both their bodies and souls would be destroyed. In the deserted world, some people said that this divine mountain had fallen from the deserted world. It was a chaotic divine mountain, or more accurately, half a divine mountain. Several days later, at noon, Gu Fei's doppelganger rode the dragon horn Chilean beast to the desolate domain where the chaotic ancient god resided. Gu Fei's doppelganger didn't look so good, because this was the last thing he wanted to see. He sensed a familiar aura, the aura of the chaotic divine mountain. It's really here. Gu Fei's doppelganger looked at the dusky world in front of him and couldn't help but frown. It seemed that the so-called chaotic ancient god had become a chaotic ruler. After the dragon horn Chilean beast arrived here, it clearly felt uneasy. In the dusky world in front of it, there seemed to be a creature that frightened it. It was noon, and the sun was high up in the sky. However, the area in front of it was still dusky, and even the sunlight couldn't penetrate the chaotic air that shrouded the region. The desolate domain of chaos. Gu Fei's doppelganger looked ahead, feeling a little nervous. It should be known that the Chaos Stone Man wasn't a kind person. It was a quasi-supreme being. Even the void quasi-supreme being had suffered under the hands of the Chaos Stone Man, let alone himself. If it was his real body, it would be fine, but the problem was that his real body was still in the ancient heavenly court relic and hadn't crossed over. With the battle strength of his doppelganger, he couldn't be a match for a quasi-supreme being. He wasn't even a match for the old Tongbi divine ape, much less a chaos dominator. This made him very sullen. Go in and take a look. Gu Fei's clone ordered the dragon horn Chilean beast. What? Aren't you asking me to die? The dragon horn Chilean was slightly displeased. After all, this was the chaotic absolute domain, the territory of a chaotic ancient god. It was only a little god, so how could it dare to casually trespass into the territory of an ancient god? In the deserted world, there was a strict and even cruel division in terms of ranks. The territorial awareness between the gods was very strong. They would not simply trespass into the territory of another god. As for the gods, they didn't dare to barge into the territory of the ancient gods. After all, the consequences of angering the ancient gods would be tragic, even more terrible than death. TSK, with me protecting you, it will be hard for you to die even if you want to. Go. Gu Fei's clone said. As if I'd believe you. The dragon horn Chilean muttered. What are you talking about? Are you going or not? Gu Fei's doppelganger was a little unhappy. Can I not go? The dragon horn Chilean said dejectedly. Its life was in the hands of Yi Futian. If it went, it would be giving its life away. If it didn't go, then it would definitely die. It could only sorrowfully summon up its courage and walk into the chaotic world. The chaotic absolute domain was a peculiar place in the entire deserted world because the laws of heaven and earth here were obviously different from those of the deserted world. All the chaotic energy came from the divine mountain at the center of the chaotic absolute domain, and along with the chaotic energy came the laws of heaven and earth of the alien world. Some people said that the chaotic stone golem was a living being that walked out from the divine mountain, and the chaotic divine mountain gave birth to this living being. After countless years of cultivation, perhaps only Emperor Qin knew exactly how powerful this chaotic stone golem was, because Emperor Qin had once repelled this chaotic stone golem. In next to no time, half an hour had passed. Since the dragon horn Qilin entered the chaotic absolute domain ahead, there was no sound, and it seemed as if it had completely vanished. At the border between the chaotic absolute domain and the outside world, the two kinds of laws of heaven and earth were intertwining, isolating all auras. Even Jiyu Fei's doppelganger could not perceive the situation inside. This was also the reason why the other sovereigns of the deserted world were not alarmed when the chaotic stone golem and the void quasi-supreme master fought in the chaotic absolute domain. After all, the movement caused by a battle between sovereigns was too great, and it could affect an entire domain. It was impossible for other sovereigns to not perceive it. The two laws of heaven and earth are incompatible. When they meet, it's really terrifying. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger exclaimed. Although there seemed to be nothing in the void ahead, if one carefully sensed it, they would find that there were hundreds of millions of laws intertwining in the void. There was no doubt that the laws of heaven and earth of the deserted world had the absolute advantage, but the laws of heaven and earth that enveloped the entire chaotic absolute domain were not weak either. Although they were at a disadvantage, they could not be destroyed by the laws of heaven and earth of the deserted world. Just as Jiyu Fei was deep in thought, a figure suddenly appeared in the chaotic absolute domain ahead. It was the dragon horn Qilin that he had sent into the chaotic absolute domain. The dragon horn Qilin was running out of the chaotic absolute domain in fear. Its 4 hooves were flying, and it was extremely fast. Behind the dragon horn Qilin, there was a creature chasing after it. It was a vine of chaos. Its vines broke through the layers of chaotic chi and pierced towards the dragon horn Qilin. The dragon horn Qilin dodged in panic. There were several bloody holes on its body, from which blood was oozing out. The wounds were covered with chaotic chi, and it was obviously injured by the vine of chaos. "Master, help!" The dragon horn Qilin shouted. "Ha ha, shout all you want. Even if you shout yourself hoarse, no one will come to save you." A wave of divine thoughts came from the vine of chaos, which was covered in chaotic chi. It was laughing wantonly. In its opinion, the dragon horn Qilin was definitely a good food. Yes, the vine of chaos was not a herbivore, but a carnivore. Swoosh. At the same time, the 9 vines pierced the dragon horn Qilin's body and nailed it in the void. Roar. "I'm going to die today." The dragon horn Qilin was scared out of its wits. It only felt that its vitality was rapidly draining away, and it was being devoured by the 9 vines that pierced its body. Humph. Chapter 2957. The dragon horn Qilin beast was chased by a vine of chaos. 9 vines pierced through its body and nailed it in the air. Just as the dragon horn Qilin beast was in despair, a ray of sword light descended from the sky and cut through the 9 vines. A figure appeared in the air. "It's you." The vine of chaos shrieked and retreated. Black vine spirit. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger descended from the sky and stood in the void. He looked coldly at the vine of chaos that was flying away and did not continue to attack. The vine of chaos was the same black vine spirit he encountered when he entered the deserted world. The black vine spirit had suffered at his hands before, so when it saw that the person was Jiyu Fei's clone, it retreated immediately. "Master, you recognize the vine of chaos?" The dragon horn Qilin beast asked in shock. It had just pulled out the 9 vines from its body, but the wound was covered in a layer of chaotic air, making it difficult to heal. With the dragon horn Qilin beast's cultivation, it was not easy to expel the chaotic air that had invaded its body. "I fought against this black vine spirit before." Jiyu Fei's clone retracted his gaze. Black vine spirit. The dragon horn Qilin beast fainted. That was the vine of chaos, so powerful that even the dragon-horned Chelene was no match for it. The vine of chaos was most likely an ancient god. However, this also made the dragon-horned Chelene beast respect its master even more. One must know that the chaotic vine was an ancient god, and its master had actually scared away this ancient god with a single move. It could only be said that its master was stronger than the vine of chaos. Master, you are a paragon. The dragon-horned Chelene beast looked at Jiu Fei's clone carefully. No. Jiu Fei's clone replied and walked away. He had to return to the heaven realm as soon as possible and tell the real body what had happened here. The dragon-horned Chelene hurriedly chased after him as if following an expert like that was not a bad thing. However, what made the dragon-horned Chelene feel pained was that the chaotic force that had invaded its body was like maggots in its bones. It was actually difficult to purge. It was already severely injured. If not for Jiu Fei's clone, it would have been sucked dry by the chaos vine and died. However, 30% to 40% of the dragon-horned Chelene beast's vital energy was instantly sucked away by the vine of chaos, almost knocking it off its god rank. Just as Jiu Fei's doppelganger walked towards the depths of the absolute chaos domain, two quasi-supremes were fighting in the starry sky above the firmament city. The old Tongbi divine ape waved a long rod that shone with golden light and smashed it towards a tall old man with a head full of white hair. Rumble, the starry sky was shaking, and the energy ripples coming from the golden staff shook the starry sky. Countless stars were shaking, as if they could fall from the starry sky at any moment. The stars around the old Tongbi divine ape even exploded, and the light from the explosion illuminated the dark starry sky. In the starry sky, many powerful figures were faintly discernible. Some powerful creatures entered the starry sky and watched the battle from afar. The battle between the two rulers had alarmed many living beings. When those powerful creatures found out that the creature fighting the old Tongbi divine ape was actually a human, they were all shocked and in disbelief. After all, the status of humans in the desolate world was extremely low. Although there were many humans, they were all slaves, enslaved by the god clans. However, at this time, there was actually a ruler among the humans who were supposed to be slaves. This was definitely going to turn the world upside down. In the desolate world, the humans were enslaved by the gods. They would forever be slaves, but now there was a ruler among the slaves. What were the consequences? When some experts thought of this, their backs were drenched in cold sweat. The slaves would no longer be slaves. The humans were going to turn the world upside down. The entire desolate world would be in chaos because of this. Perhaps it would enter a dark age. Who knew how many god clans would fall because of this? This was a clash between the humans and the god clans, and it was the fiercest clash ever. No one knew what the outcome would be. They could only guess that if the humans fought back against the god clans, the consequences would be dire. Perhaps it would be beyond the god clan's expectations. However, at this moment, a scene that left all the god clans dumbfounded appeared. They saw the ruler of the human clan reach out and grab the golden staff that was smashing down on him. How is this possible? All the god clans who were watching from afar stared at this scene in disbelief. How could this human be so strong? He grabbed the old Tongbi divine ape staff with one hand. The one who was the most shocked was the old Tongbi divine ape. He thought that he had overestimated this human ruler, but now he realized that this human ruler was much stronger than he had expected. Bzzz. The old Tongbi divine ape exerted all his strength, activating the golden staff in his hand. Golden runes emerged from within the staff and intertwined on the staff. A wave of quasi-supreme being energy that was so powerful that it caused even the heavens and earth to tremble erupted from the golden rod. However, runes also appeared on Emperor Qin's right hand that grabbed the staff. The power from the staff did not shake his hand off. Mph, old man Qin Emperor snorted coldly. He exerted force in his right hand that was holding the golden rod, and an even more powerful force of a quasi-supremacy burst out from his hand. The old Tongbi divine ape cried out in surprise. He was sent flying by the power from the golden staff. What? The god clans watching this scene from afar were dumbfounded. Even the old Tongbi divine ape was no match for this human ruler. It seemed that the god clans of the desolate world were in trouble. After all the god clans in the desolate world enslaved the human clan. Furthermore, some of the stronger clans not only enslaved the human clan, but also fed on the human clan. The god clans of the desolate world treated the human clan in such a manner. How could this human ruler let them off? This is bad. Some of the god clans left. The situation was worse than they had imagined. An invincible ruler had appeared among the human clan. The god clans all felt that a great crisis was about to befall them. It's just a broken staff. After Emperor Qin snatched the golden staff from the old Tongbi divine ape's hand, he used both hands and broke the staff into two. Roar. Chapter 2958. In the starry sky above Kangcheong City, Old Man Qin Huang and the Old Long by divine ape were fighting. Old Man Qin Huang was still very domineering. He actually snatched the golden rod from the Old Long by divine ape's hand and broke it into two. Roar. The old Tongbi divine ape roared furiously into the sky. The entire starry sky trembled under his roar. Countless stars swayed as if they would fall from the starry sky at any moment. However, one had to admit that the desolate world was very stable. If this was the human realm or the heavenly realm, the surrounding stars would probably explode from the old ape's roar. You're not a dragon. What are you roaring for? Do you know the dragon's roar? Emperor Qin said. Star-picking palm. Old Tongbi god ape extended his right hand and his giant palm instantly enveloped half of the starry sky. A terrifying aura spread out from the giant palm and the stars that were enveloped by the giant palm exploded one by one. This giant hand was simply too big. Even the stars were as small as grains of sand in front of this giant hand. However, the Old Man Qin Emperor's body shook, and his entire person immediately became incredibly huge. All the stars in the sky circled around him, and he directly slapped out with his hand. Boom! With a loud bang, the two huge hands collided with each other. Extremely powerful waves of energy spread out, causing stars to explode one after another. The void space was shaking, and ripples visible to the naked eye spread out in all directions like waves of water. The power of the long-armed divine ape's killing technique, the star-plucking hand, was unquestionable. It was said to be able to pluck down the stars in the sky. However, when this killing technique was executed by the old long-armed divine ape, its power was even greater. The old ape unleashed the power of this killing technique to the extreme. However, Old Man Qin Emperor casually struck out with his palm and blocked the old Tongbi divine ape's star-picking hand. Bang! Qin Emperor exerted force with his right palm, directly sending the old Tongbi divine ape flying away. This, in the sky, the cultivators of the desolate world who saw this were shocked. A ruler of the human race was able to force the old ape back. How was this possible? The old Tongbi divine ape flew out tens of thousands of miles and directly smashed through a star. Only then did he stabilize his body. His right hand was trembling and there were actually many cracks on it. Fresh blood seeped out. You're no match for me. If you want to live, crawl through my crotch. The Old Man Qin Emperor said domineeringly. What? Old Tongbi divine ape was instantly enraged. Human race, don't go overboard. Old Tongbi ape gritted his teeth. This human paragon was really too much. He actually wanted him to be humiliated by his crotch. Old Tongbi ape would rather die in battle. I've gone too far, but you've gone too far. You've actually dared to enslave us humans for so many years. Don't you think you should pay a price? The Old Man Qin Emperor said in a deep voice. The human race is originally a slave race. It is their honor to serve the god race. The old Tongbi divine ape raged. Is that so? Then come and serve me. The Qin Emperor said. You, old Tongbi divine ape was exasperated and did not know what to say for a moment. The strong are respected. You are weaker than me, so it is your honor to be my servants. The Old Man Qin Emperor crossed his arms and said nonchalantly. There's nothing more to say. Let's fight. Old Tongbi divine ape roared furiously. Since you're not willing to be my servant, I'll beat you until you're willing. Old Man Qin Emperor took a step out and attacked the old long-armed divine ape. As he waved his hand, clanging sounds rang out incessantly. Streams of divine chains appeared in the void and coiled around the old long-armed divine ape. Kill. It's either you die or I die. The old Tongbi divine ape struck out furiously. Rays of golden light shot out from the hands of the old Tongbi divine ape, turning into a peerless sword light that slashed at the entangling god chains of law. The two paragon realm existences engaged in battle once again. The golden sword light clashed with the god chains of order, giving out clanging sounds. Two extremely powerful quasi-supreme martial artist powers clashed and the Tao patterns of quasi-supreme martial artist dissipated in the void. The god chains of order and the golden sword light dissipated in the void at the same time. The two figures moved quickly in the void. Wherever they passed, stars exploded, the void trembled, and pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the starry sky. The void of the desolate world was too stable. Even a quasi-supreme martial artist could barely break through the void here. It was impossible for them to shatter the void like in the human realm and the heavenly realm. The old man Qin Emperor was extremely powerful. Soon, the old Tongbi divine ape was sent flying by him, coughing up blood. This was the essence blood of a quasi-supreme martial artist. Every drop contained an unimaginably powerful essence qi. A dozen drops of quasi-supreme martial artist blood appeared in the starry sky, like a dozen blood-colored stars, radiating blood-red light. It was hard to imagine that this was the light emitted by a dozen drops of blood. The blood-red light illuminated the entire starry sky. In the distant starry sky, the Shun clan cultivators who saw this scene were extremely shocked. The battle between paragon realm existences was indeed terrifying. It could destroy the world. A single drop of essence blood from a paragon was enough to kill an ancient god. Damn it. The old Tongbi divine ape opened his mouth and inhaled. The dozen drops of blood immediately flew back to him and he swallowed them. The so-called paragon of this world is just SOSO. The old man Qin Emperor walked towards the old Tongbi divine ape step by step. With every step, his aura increased. With just a few steps, the entire starry sky shook. This, even in the distant starry sky, the Shun clan cultivators still felt a great pressure. The human paragons' every step was like stepping on their hearts. So scary, some Shun clan cultivators coughed up blood and had to retreat even further away. The old man Qin Emperor's footsteps resonated with the heaven and earth. This made all the Shun clan cultivators who were watching the battle feel a great pressure. Bang! Without any suspense, the old Tongbi divine ape was sent flying again, coughing up blood. The old Tongbi divine ape was no match at all. Even among the quasi-supremes, there was a difference in strength. The old Tongbi divine ape was destined to meet the old man Qin Emperor. One must know that the old man Qin Emperor had lived for countless years and had the chance to become a supreme. Although he didn't take that step in the end, he was still much stronger than the average quasi-supremes. Roar! The old Tongbi divine ape roared in anger. He wanted to fight with his life, but in front of an absolutely powerful existence, even if he fought with his life, it wouldn't change anything. In the end, the old man Qin Emperor knocked the old Tongbi divine ape out and grabbed him by the back of his collar. He lifted the old Tongbi divine ape up and walked towards the sky city under the starry sky. Seeing this scene, all the Shun clan cultivators' eyeballs almost fell to the ground. They were all in disbelief. The powerful old Tongbi divine ape was actually defeated, and utterly defeated. Very soon, the news of the ruler of the human clan entering the sky city spread. The old man Qin Emperor was very domineering. He entered the sky city directly and took control of the entire city. The human clan was about to rise. In the sky city, only the human clan was the master. All the Shun clan members were the servants of the human clan. If they dared to disobey, they would be killed on the spot by the ruler of the human clan. However, ever since the old Tongbi divine ape was defeated by the old man Qin Emperor, he never appeared again. Someone said that the old Tongbi divine ape had become the old man Qin Emperor's servant. But as for the truth, nobody knew. The human clan in the Sky City finally got rid of the fate of being slaves and became the masters of the clan. The Shun clan that was arrogant and looked down on the human clan actually became their slaves. The reversal of status made the lowest level of the human clan in the Sky City temporarily uncomfortable. They needed some time to adjust their mentality. The Old Man Qin Emperor was not the only one who entered the desolate world. The other human clan cultivators who entered the desolate world all encountered attacks from powerful creatures in other regions. Some directly destroyed an ancient city, while others fought endlessly with the powerful creatures in the desolate world. In the end, both sides suffered great losses. The sudden appearance of the human clan cultivators in the desolate world made the Shun clan cultivators in the desolate world feel very uneasy. This was because the sudden appearance of the human clan cultivators was not something an ordinary god could deal with. In particular, the appearance of the Old Man Qin Emperor caused a great shock in the entire desolate world. Some people said that the Dark Ages were coming. No one would have thought that the creature that caused all this was the human clan that was seen as a slave by the cultivators. Just as the storm was about to arrive in the desolate world, Ji Yufei's doppelganger brought the dragon-horn Qilin beast to the vicinity of the chaotic divine mountain. The vine of chaos had already escaped to God knows where. Ji Yufei's doppelganger brought the dragon-horn Qilin beast along but did not find any powerful creatures along the way. This made Ji Yufei's doppelganger feel a little strange. It should be said that although this was a forbidden region, there were many creatures living here. Moreover, these creatures were nourished day and night by the chaotic aura emitted from the divine mountain. It was impossible for them not to be powerful. The vine of chaos, for example, was definitely an ancient god existence in the eyes of the dragon-horn Qilin beast. Ji Yufei's doppelganger and the others did not find the unimaginably powerful Chaos Stone Man. If they encountered the Stone Man, they would definitely die. Very soon, Ji Yufei sensed a powerful aura coming from afar. It was a familiar aura, belonging to the prospective supreme of the Golden Clan. The prospective supreme of the Golden Clan was extremely powerful. Moreover, he held a supreme treasure in his hand. There was no place in the world that he could not go. I didn't expect him to come as well. Chapter 2959. The danger of the absolute domain of chaos was undeniable. If it were an ordinary creature from the deserted world, the vine of chaos would be enough to kill all the creatures that entered the absolute domain of chaos. The creatures from the absolute domain of chaos were the dominators. Soon, Ji Yufei's doppelganger and the dragon-horn Qilin beast encountered another creature from the absolute domain of chaos. It was a rabbit that was half the height of a human. The rabbit had a pair of blood-red eyes and was covered with long grey hair. However, when Ji Yufei's doppelganger saw the rabbit, it was not eating a carrot, but was gnawing on the leg of an unknown creature. Obviously, the rabbit was not a vegetarian. When the rabbit saw Ji Yufei's doppelganger and the dragon-horn Qilin beast, it immediately stood up and grinned, revealing its sharp teeth. There was even a piece of red meat hanging on its teeth. Haha, does this little guy see us as food? The dragon-horn Qilin beast laughed. Don't underestimate this little guy, or you will regret it. Ji Yufei's doppelganger said. Master, do you think this little guy is a match for me? The dragon-horn Qilin beast said disapprovingly. Although the rabbit was a creature from the chaotic domain, it was a god, the god of the deserted world. Of course, the dragon-horn Qilin beast had obviously forgotten that it was almost sucked dry by the vine of chaos. Whoosh! At this moment, the rabbit that was eating meat disappeared into the void. At the next moment, a ferocious, bloody mouth appeared in front of the dragon-horn Qilin beast. The stench almost made him throw up the food that he had eaten the previous night. The dragon-horn Qilin beast was shocked, and a ball of golden light spread out from its body. Then, the rabbit, who was eating meat, bit on the layer of golden light and was sent flying. The dragon-horn Qilin beast was scared out of its wits. The rabbit was so ferocious. If its reaction was slower, its neck would have been bitten off by the rabbit. The rabbit that had been sent flying let out a roar and got up from the ground. Then, it pushed off the ground with its sturdy legs and pounced towards the dragon-horn Qilin beast again. Your essence chi was greatly injured just now. After eating this rabbit, your essence chi will more or less recover. Ji Yufei's doppelganger crossed his arms and looked at this scene with a smile. Yes. I haven't eaten roasted rabbit in a long time. The the dragon-horn-Chilean beast said as he attacked. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger was right. This rabbit was truly extraordinary. While its cultivation state was nothing much, its physical body state was ridiculously strong. Although the rabbit was sent flying by the dragon-horn-Chilean beast again, it immediately got up from the ground and pounced at the dragon-horn-Chilean beast. Swoosh! The dragon-horn-Chilean beast had to get serious. A sword light rushed out of its dragon horn, and with a flash, the rabbit's head flew off. Soon, the dragon-horn-Chilean beast started a fire and threw the rabbit that was eating meat into the fire. Then, it roasted it and ate it in one bite. Although this rabbit was not a powerful creature of the chaotic world, it was a creature of the chaotic world after all. The rabbit's body contained a powerful essence chi. A layer of divine light quickly appeared on the dragon-horn-Chilean beast's body. This layer of divine light flashed, and the rabbit's essence chi was refined into its own. After refining the rabbit's essence chi, the dragon-horn-Chilean beast looked better. If there were a dozen more rabbits, I would be able to recover my damaged essence chi. The dragon-horn-Chilean beast said. As you wish. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger pointed forward. The dragon-horn-Chilean beast hurriedly looked in the direction that Jiyu Fei's doppelganger was pointing. In the distance, there were dozens of them squatting there. Pairs of blood-red eyes could be vaguely seen in the chaotic aura. Waha! This is great! The dragon-horn-Chilean beast screamed and pounced forward. A great battle broke out, and the chaos was vast and mighty, completely enveloping the place. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger looked at this scene with a smile. Very soon, the dragon-horn-Chilean returned. He was battered, and his body was stained with blood. However, he was very happy. He had devoured dozens of chaos rabbits, and his body had condensed a powerful mass of chaos essence chi. At this time, the dragon-horn-Chilean beast was very happy, because he could feel that after eating so many disgusting rabbits, his damaged essence chi was beginning to recover. Okay, don't waste time. Let's go. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger said, and then he soared into the sky and went deep into the chaos absolute domain. The dragon-horn-Chilean beast wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and then he soared into the sky and caught up with Jiyu Fei's doppelganger. The Chaos Divine Mountain stood in the center of the Chaos Absolute Domain. The Chaos Chi that seeped out from the mountain enveloped the entire Chaos Absolute Domain, affecting the entire Chaos Absolute Domain. One had to admit that the Chaos Divine Mountain was really nature-defying, because it was not a complete Chaos Divine Mountain, but only half of it. It was hard to imagine the intensity of the battle all those years ago. Even a chaotic divine mountain that was born in the chaotic age before the world was created was broken. A section of the chaotic divine mountain fell into the desolate world and turned the area into a chaotic domain. Although it was only a section of the chaos divine mountain, it was still much taller than an ordinary mountain. The pitch-black mountain towered into the clouds, like an ancient beast lying on the ground. The closer they got to the chaos divine mountain, the stronger the chaotic creatures that Jiyu Fei's doppelganger and the dragon-horn-Chilean beast encountered. Moo! Just as Jiyu Fei's doppelganger and the dragon-horn-Chilean beast approached the chaos divine mountain, a roar was heard from below. Then, a black bull the size of a hill charged at them from below. Let me! The dragon-horn-Chilean beast became excited as soon as it saw the chaotic creatures attacking them. It lowered its body and directly pounced on the raging bull that was charging from below. Boom! The two figures collided in an instant, causing a loud explosion. Then, the dragon-horn-Chilean beast shrieked in pain and was sent flying into the sky. The bull was like a chaotic mountain, knocking the dragon-horn-Chilean beast away. After knocking the dragon-horn-Chilean beast away, the chaos bull charged at Jiyu Fei's doppelganger. Its two black horns flashed with chaotic divine light like lightning. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger reached out and grabbed one of the bull's horns with his right hand. Then, the bull was swung around and smashed into the ground. Boom! With a loud noise, the hill-sized bull smashed into the ground. The ground immediately undulated like waves, and a cloud of dust rose into the sky. Moo! The barbarian bull roared and a terrifying sound wave spread out, causing the ground to tremble even more violently. Dust filled the air and a pair of eyes shining with green light could be seen within the dust. The ground collapsed, and a bottomless pit appeared. The bull's 4 hooves were flying, and it stepped on the chaotic air. It shot up into the sky and madly charged at Gu Fei's doppelganger. God! How is this possible? At this time, the dragon horn Qilin beast, who had been knocked into the sky by the bull, rushed down from the sky. He was extremely shocked, because this bull was a god. Why not? Gu Fei's doppelganger said disapprovingly. There seemed to be a lot of gods in the deserted world. The gods of the deserted world were the saints of the human realm and the heavenly realm. The division of the living beings in the deserted world was much simpler than that of the human realm and the heavenly realm. This was because there were only 3 cultivation realms in the deserted world: God, ancient god, and ruler. Generally speaking, living beings below the god level were all ants. Only living beings above the god level were the main characters of the deserted world. Let me do it. I can't beat this bull. The dragon horn Qilin beast roared and rushed up again. This was the fiercest collision between the two. The dragon horn Qilin beast was a living being with the blood of the dragon ancestor, and its body was extremely strong. However, the bull was not ordinary. Although it did not have a heaven-defying bloodline, it was a living being of the chaotic world, and it also had the strongest constitution. Boom! Bang! The 2 figures moved rapidly in the sky, colliding with each other constantly. There were muffled sounds of collision, and an extremely powerful aura spread out, dispersing the surrounding chaotic air. Gu Fei's doppelganger saw this but did not intervene, because they were near the chaotic divine mountain. He released his divine consciousness, looking for the ball of light. He found that, as strong as he was, his divine consciousness could only cover a radius of about 1,000 miles. There was some kind of power in the chaotic absolute domain that suppressed divine consciousness, which surprised Gu Fei's doppelganger. This power seemed to come from the chaotic divine mountain. That is, suddenly, Gu Fei's doppelganger sensed a threatening aura, which made his hair stand on end. He ignored the dragon horn Qilin beast and took a step forward, disappearing in the sky instantly. The next moment, he appeared in another place. It was a valley, and the valley was covered with corpses. These living beings were all living beings of the chaotic world. These living beings of the chaotic world had all died in this valley. Every one of them died in a strange way. Their flesh and blood seemed to have been devoured, leaving only a layer of skin and a set of bones. The aura of death, could it be? Gu Fei's doppelganger suddenly thought of something and felt his hair stand on end. Is that guy still lingering in this area and has not left? At this thought, Gu Fei's doppelganger could no longer stay calm. He turned around and left the valley. He could not stay here for long, and had to leave as soon as possible. Chapter 2960. Gu Fei's clone knew very well how he came to the desolate world. It was because his original body was tracking the undead creature that escaped from the ancient heavenly court's ghost city. That was how he found the passage to the desolate world. That undead creature was an extremely powerful and terrifying undead monarch. It had once used its great divine ability to gather countless undead creatures in the ancient heavenly court's ruins in the ghost city, then devoured all the death essence of these undead creatures. The undead king that had devoured an endless amount of death essence was definitely unimaginably powerful. Of course, the immortal king was severely injured by the golden quasi-supreme martial artist and escaped into the deserted world. What made Gu Fei's avatar uneasy was that the immortal king might still be wandering around the chaotic divine mountain, hunting the creatures of the chaotic world. Although these chaotic creatures weren't truly born from the chaos before the world was created, they were still very powerful due to the influence of the chaotic divine mountain. These chaotic creatures were born after the world was created, so they were naturally incomparable to the chaotic creatures. However, this kind of creature had cultivated primal essence energy after all. This primal essence energy was definitely comparable to a great medicine to the heavily injured undying monarch. When Gu Fei's doppelganger saw the mountain valley filled with the corpses of primal chaos creatures, he thought of this point. That undead king was really bold, to actually dare to massacre the Chaos Stone Golem's territory. By the time Gu Fei's clone returned to the dragon horn Qilin beast, the dragon horn Qilin beast had already killed the Chaos Barbaric Bull and was devouring its essence energy. The chaotic bull's corpse floated in the void in front of the dragon-horned Cheline. Streams of chaotic essence rushed out from the corpse and entered the dragon-horned Cheline's body. The body of the primal chaos barbaric bull, which was as big as a small mountain, shrunk rapidly. Soon, it became a bag of bones, and all its vital essence was devoured by the dragon-horned Cheline beast. When Jiu Fei's clone saw this scene, he couldn't help feeling a little shocked. Could it be that all the life forms that had their essence devoured were the same? The dragon-horned Cheline seemed to be enjoying this. A powerful aura erupted from its body. "Time to recover. Time to go," Jiu Fei's clone said. "Are you leaving?" The dragon-horned Cheline beast said with a hint of longing. After devouring the energy essence of the chaotic barbaric bull, his vitality was almost fully recovered. After all, that was a god-level chaotic creature. "Hurry up and keep up." Jiu Fei's doppelganger stepped into the sky and disappeared in an instant. He left in such a hurry. The dragon-horned Cheline beast was a little baffled. He had never seen his master so nervous before. Today was the first time he had seen it. He immediately gave chase. After Jiu Fei and the others left, a chaos vine burst out from the ground and turned into a giant. It stood in the void and looked in the direction where Jiu Fei and the others had disappeared to. Streams of chaos chi coiled around its body. "Where's that ball of light?" Jiu Fei and the dragon-horned Cheline beast were looking for the ball of light that could reflect a world. However, the ball of light seemed to have disappeared. Of course, the area where the chaotic divine mountain was located was very large, and spiritual force was suppressed. Even the spiritual force of Jiu Fei's clone could not cover a large area. What a headache. Jiu Fei's clone could not help but feel anxious. If the ball of light disappeared, he would not be able to return. Just as Jiu Fei's clone was at a loss, a powerful aura suddenly descended from the chaotic divine mountain. Sensing this aura, Jiu Fei's clone could not help but be shocked. What he feared had really come. A powerful death aura spread in all directions. On the chaotic divine mountain, there seemed to be a king of death awakening. The chaos chi that shrouded the chaotic divine mountain was drawn by the power of death and gathered at the peak of the chaotic divine mountain. It's actually devouring the chaos chi of the chaotic divine mountain. Jiu Fei's clone raised his head and looked at the chaotic divine mountain. He frowned. That immortal monarch was indeed powerful. He actually dared to have designs on the chaotic divine mountain. Roar! A deep roar rang out from within the chaos divine mountain. Then, the entire mountain began to shake. Torrential chaotic energy erupted from the chaos divine mountain. Streams of chaos runes appeared on the mountain and instantly sealed the chaos divine mountain's essence chi, not allowing it to leak out. Then, a figure walked out from the chaos divine mountain. An extremely powerful pressure spread from the figure, causing the entire chaos absolute domain to tremble. Boom! Without saying anything, the chaotic figure started fighting with the figure of death that was sitting at the peak of the chaotic divine mountain. The power of the quasi-supreme shook the earth. The sudden change shocked the dragon-horned Cheline beast. The powerful aura of the quasi-supreme made it almost unable to breathe. Its entire body felt like it was about to collapse. "Let's go." Jiu Fei's clone grabbed the dragon-horned Cheline beast and used the 8 desolation steps. He charged into the distance and quickly retreated far away. From afar, 2 figures could be seen moving at high speed on the peak of the chaotic divine mountain. Terrifying power ripples spread out, causing the entire heaven and earth to become unstable. This battle between quasi-supremes had happened too suddenly. No one had expected that the Chaos Crossing Stone Golem would actually be inside the Chaos Divine Mountain. The Undying Monarch had actually set his sights on the Chaos Divine Mountain. This had immediately alerted the Chaos Crossing Stone Golem inside the mountain. The Chaos Stone Man was a carnate chaotic lifeform that was born from the Chaotic Divine Mountain. It was extremely powerful. Moreover, to a certain extent, the Chaotic Divine Mountain was its body. At the peak of the Chaotic Divine Mountain, other than the 2 quasi-supreme experts fighting, there was a ball of light floating above the Chaotic Divine Mountain. That ball of light was the one that Jiu Fei's clone had been searching for all this while. It's actually there. When Jiyu Fei's clone saw the ball of light, he was extremely excited. However, at this moment, no one dared to go near the ball of light. Master, that is, the dragon-horned Shaolin beast had never seen its master so excited before. It couldn't help but be surprised to see its master so excited. That ball of light was indeed mysterious. Even under the influence of the two quasi-supreme experts, it wasn't affected at all. That is the entrance to another world. Jiyu Fei's clone didn't hide anything. Although the dragon-horned Shaolin beast was powerful, it was as weak as an ant in his eyes. He wasn't afraid of the dragon-horned Shaolin beast at all. The entrance to another world. Chapter 2961. The fact that there was an entrance to another world in the unique domain of chaos shocked the dragon-horned Shaolin beast to the extreme. It had never heard of an entrance to another world in the unique domain of chaos. Could it be that his master entered the deserted world through that ball of light? The dragon-horned Shaolin beast was shocked, but it also guessed the origin of its master. His master was not a creature from the deserted world. In the deserted world, the human clan was a slave race, enslaved by the divine clans. Countless years had passed, but there had never been a particularly powerful being among the human clan, let alone a god. However, its master was an ancient god. Only then did it realize what was going on. This ancient god of the human clan came from another world. There is another world outside the deserted world. The dragon-horned Shaolin beast said with a trembling voice. It was hard to imagine and beyond its knowledge. Before this, it only knew the deserted world, but did not know that there was another world outside the deserted world. You are ignorant, haha. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger glanced at the dragon-horned Shaolin beast and said proudly, Master, you are from another world. The dragon-horned Shaolin beast hesitated and then asked carefully, Yes, there are two worlds outside the deserted world. One is the human realm, and the other is the heaven realm. Your master, I am from the human realm. Jiyu Fei's doppelganger said. What? There are two worlds outside the deserted world? The dragon-horned Shaolin beast's jaw dropped to the ground. It never imagined that there was another world outside the deserted world, but two worlds. The news was hard for it to digest in a short time. Seeing the dragon-horned Shaolin beast's dumbfounded look, Jiyu Fei's doppelganger could not help but feel complacent. He was proud to be from the human realm. In his opinion, the creatures in the deserted world were just a bunch of country bumpkins who had never seen the world. They thought that they were invincible just because they were in the deserted world. Yes, the creatures in the deserted world were very powerful, but the human realm and the heaven realm once had supreme beings. No matter how powerful the creatures in the deserted world were, they could not be stronger than a supreme being. I have said that it is not a bad thing for you to be my servant. Jiyu Fei's clone said proudly. The barren world is boundless. I didn't think there would be another two worlds apart from the barren world. Naturally, I have to go and see for myself. The dragon-horned Shaolin muttered to itself. With me leading you, you can naturally enter the human realm and heaven realm. However, the problem is that the two lunatics on the mountain are fighting. How are you going to get close to that ball of light? Jiyu Fei's clone said with a frown. Rumble. A thunderous rumble came from the chaotic divine mountain in front of them. The pressure of a quasi-supreme being enveloped the entire region. The primal chaos absolute domain was definitely an absolute domain for the living beings outside. This was because the primal chaos lifeforms were incomparably powerful, and it was the territory of the chaos stone golems. Even the rabbits here ate meat. One could imagine how dangerous this place was. Master, that's easy. We'll just wait for them to injure each other and then reap the benefits. The dragon-horned Shaolin said. Sigh, that's the only way. Jiyu Fei's clone shook his head and sighed. With his cultivation, it was impossible for him to be a match for the chaos stone golem and the undying monarch. However, there was a change in the battle between the two quasi-supreme beings. Just as the two experts were fighting on the chaotic divine mountain, a figure directly walked out of the void and struck the undying monarch with a palm. The undying monarch was directly sent flying. He had suffered a huge impact. It's you. When the chaos stone golem saw the person that walked out of the void, he couldn't help but be shocked. The person that suddenly struck the undying monarch was the void quasi-supreme being that had fought with him previously. The sudden appearance of the void quasi-supreme being shocked the Chaos Stone Golem and the undying monarch, especially the undying monarch. The void quasi-supreme being's attack was aimed at him. Kill. The Chaos Stone Golem directly attacked. With a wave of his right hand, rays of primal chaos divine light immediately turned into a peerless divine spear that pierced towards the void quasi-supreme being. The void quasi-supreme being's figure directly disappeared into the void, and the divine spear formed from primal chaos divine light pierced through empty space. Buzz. The void trembled, and pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the void. After that, they rapidly slashed towards the Chaos Stone Golem. Every crack was like a black blade, emitting a terrifying destructive aura. This is. Jiu Fei's clone couldn't help but be shocked when he saw this scene. This void quasi-supreme being's understanding of the void grand Tao had already reached an unimaginable level. This void quasi-supreme being could actually use the spatial cracks to attack his opponent. Swish. The Chaos Stone Golem reached out with his hand, directly wiping away all the spatial cracks. After that, he directly rushed over and slammed his palm towards the void. Bang! A figure was struck out from the void by the Chaos Stone Golem. Roar! At the same time, the undying monarch, who was sent flying by the void quasi-supreme being's palm, let out a furious roar. He directly pounced from the void and reached out with his hand, grabbing towards the void quasi-supreme being. A bony hand emitting a torrential death aura instantly enveloped the entire void, trapping the void quasi-supreme being. Roar! The void quasi-supreme being let out a furious roar. His body trembled, and immediately, pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the void around him. Those spatial cracks were like black tentacles, wrapping around the skeletal hand that was trying to grab them. Catcher! The black spatial cracks were like living creatures, instantly entangling the bony hand. After that, the bony hand was directly crushed by those tentacle-like spatial cracks. Boom! At the same time, the Chaos Stone Golem also made a move against the undying monarch. With a muffled sound, a primal chaos divine mountain directly smashed the undying monarch hundreds of thousands of miles away. The undying monarch had a supreme-level physical body, so it was naturally impossible for him to be heavily injured. However, being hit by that primal chaos divine mountain was enough to make him suffer. The primal chaos divine mountain struck out by the Chaos Stone Golem wasn't the real primal chaos divine mountain. Instead, it was a great technique that he had evolved. After that primal chaos divine mountain smashed into the undying monarch, it dissipated into the void. Roar! The undying monarch roared towards the sky. A terrifying death aura swept out, causing the living beings in the absolute chaos domain to be extremely terrified. At this moment, the Chaos Stone Golem and the void quasi-supreme being started fighting again. The undying monarch directly rushed back from afar and joined the battle. The three quasi-supreme beings were engaged in a great battle. Chapter 2962. In the absolute chaos domain, above the chaotic divine mountain, three quasi-supreme existences were fighting. Terrifying shockwaves spread in all directions. Even the extremely stable space of the desolate world was shaking violently at this moment. Boom! A giant hand of chaos directly pierced through the void, blasting a terrifying figure that was emitting a towering deathly aura away. The entire void rippled like water. That was a supreme Chaos Stone Man attacking. It had slapped a quasi-supreme undying lifeform away. The Chaos Stone Man had displayed its powerful battle prowess. However, in the next moment, the Chaos Stone Man was sent flying. A figure directly walked out of the void and sent it flying. It was incomparably powerful. After the figure sent the Chaos Stone Golem flying, it immediately disappeared into the void, as if it had never appeared in the first place. Roar! The Chaos Stone Man roared in anger. Rays of chaotic divine light rushed out of its body, turning into chaotic divine chains that pierced through the void. A figure was forced out of the void by the chaotic divine chains. Body like the void, the figure shouted. Then, the chaotic divine chains pierced through its body, as if it had struck the void. The Chaos Stone Man stopped retreating. It was extremely shocked. This human was very strong, even stronger than before. Could it be that this human had held back when they fought before? Today, I must let you know how powerful I, Master Void, am, the Chaos Stone Man said in a deep voice. The Void Quasi-Supreme being said in a deep voice. His body seemed to exist between nothingness and reality. Even the powerful Chaos Stone Golem seemed to be unable to injure him in the slightest. Master Void, I've never heard of you. Gu Fei's clone muttered in the distant sky. Although it was far enough from the battlefield, it was still a holy venerable, so it heard the words of the Chaos Stone Man. Is that so? Before the Chaos Stone Man could speak, a cold voice suddenly sounded nearby. Then, a cloud of black gas swept out from behind the Chaos Stone Man. Everywhere the black gas passed, the void was silently annihilated. Everything was corroded and destroyed. The Void Half-Supreme being was shocked. This wave of black energy was extraordinary, able to erase everything, even the great Tao laws of a Half-Supreme being level could be erased. One must know that Void Quasi-Sovereigns could transform their bodies into the Void, but this black aura could even destroy the Void. In other words, even Void Quasi-Sovereigns couldn't avoid this attack. He took a step forward and dodged the attack. The mass of black gas spread out. Not only did it target the Void Quasi-Supremacy, it even wanted to devour the Chaos Stone Golem into the black gas and obliterate it. Kill. The Chaos Stone Man was very powerful. As he waved his hands, rays of Chaos Divine Light rushed out of his hands and turned into Chaos Divine Spears that pierced towards the Undying Monarch in the black gas. However, the primal Chaos Divine Spears immediately dimmed when they pierced into the black gas, and the primal Chaos Tao patterns were rapidly destroyed. Before the Chaos Divine Spears could pierce the Undying Monarch's body, they were completely corroded by the black gas and disappeared. What? The Chaos Stone Man was extremely shocked. What the hell was this black gas? It could actually erase his Tao patterns. It was really hard to imagine. He had no choice but to retreat. High up in the sky, Gu Fei's doppelganger was also indescribably shocked when he saw this scene. This immortal monarch was indeed powerful, to be able to force back two Quasi-Supremes with just a mouthful of black gas. One must know that the Chaos Stone Man and Void Quasi-Sovereigns weren't weak. This guy was once a Supreme. Could it be? Gu Fei's clone thought of something and couldn't help but change his expression. Master, should we retreat first? The dragon horn Shalin, who hadn't spoken all this while, said. He didn't have the cultivation of Gu Fei's clone, and the vast and terrifying aura in front of him almost caused him to have a mental breakdown. This kind of pressure was really too powerful. It could make people go crazy. No, it should be making beasts go crazy. Retreat. If you want to retreat, retreat. This is a battle between quasi-sovereigns. Do you think you can encounter it often? Gu Fei's clone said. The dragon horn Shalin was speechless. How could he not know that a battle of this level could only be encountered by chance? However, the aura of the quasi-sovereigns was really too terrifying. It was hard to endure. However, since his master had already spoken, he could only brace himself and watch the battle together with his master. At this time, the Chaos Stone Man and Void Quasi-Sovereigns were in big trouble. The mouthful of black gas that the Undying Monarch had spat out was too terrifying. Even the Chaos Stone Man didn't dare to touch that black gas. One must know that the Chaos Stone Man was a carnate chaotic life form that was born from the chaotic divine mountain. The physique of such a life form was definitely unimaginably powerful. Damn it, isolating the void and forming a world of its own. At this time, a ball of divine light appeared from Void Quasi-Sovereign's body. It was as if a divine sun had appeared in the world. However, that wasn't a true divine sun, but a part of the void. The Void Quasi-Sovereign had opened up an area of the void, an independent little world. This independent little world had isolated the outside world. The black gas that the Undying Monarch spat out was isolated by Void Quasi-Sovereign's world. Even if the void was destroyed, it wouldn't be able to affect Void Quasi-Sovereign. Preposterous. When the Chaos Stone Man saw this, he was incomparably shocked. This human's methods were indeed powerful. He could actually block that terrifying black gas. It seemed like he had no choice but to use his trump card. The Chaos Stone Man gritted his teeth. In the next moment, his entire body released the chaotic divine Sunday. At the same time, the chaotic divine mountain actually shook. An unimaginably powerful chaotic energy erupted from the chaotic divine mountain. The Chaos Stone Man had actually activated the power of the chaotic divine mountain. The power of the chaotic divine mountain erupted. Rays of chaotic divine light rushed out from the pitch-black mountain and entered the Chaos Stone Man's body. Buzz. The void trembled. A ball of chaotic light appeared from the Chaos Stone Man's body, blocking the black gas outside the chaotic light. The Chaos Stone Man absorbed the power of the chaotic divine mountain. In this way, he was like the reincarnation of a primal chaos sovereign. His battle strength was raised to the limit. A terrifying aura spread out in all directions, and the space around the Chaos Stone Golem rippled like water. Pitch-black spatial cracks appeared around him. This time, it was the Undying Monarch and Void Quasi-Sovereign's turn to be shocked. They never expected the Chaos Stone Man to have such a heaven-defying method. He could draw the power of the chaotic divine mountain. Actually, to a certain extent, the chaotic energy contained within the chaotic divine mountain was definitely comparable to a supreme being. One must know that this chaotic divine mountain had been nurtured in the primal chaos for an unknown period of time. At this time, the Chaos Stone Man drew the power of the chaotic divine mountain. This was no joke. I didn't expect that even my supreme corpse poison wouldn't be able to do anything to you. The Undying Monarch said in a low voice. This was his trump card. Before he turned into an undying life form, he was an invincible supreme being. Even though he had turned into an undying life form, his physical body was still a supreme being physique. The black gas he spat out was a corpse poison that had been nurtured in his supreme undying life form for countless years. Once this corpse poison was spat out, it would definitely be able to kill all living beings. However, he felt that he had overestimated his corpse poison. Of course, the might of this corpse poison was also very terrifying. Even quasi-supreme beings wouldn't dare to touch it. No one would be so foolish as to seek death for no reason. Kill. The Chaos Stone Man attacked. This time, the chaotic divine light directly pierced through the heavens. With a single strike, the Undying Monarch's black gas was dispersed and the Undying Monarch was sent flying. Rumble. The Chaos Stone Man stretched out his hand and slapped towards the quasi-supreme void. Then, the small world that the quasi-supreme void had created immediately collapsed. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. The blood essence of a quasi-supreme being contained powerful essence energy. A single drop of blood essence could kill a saint. If it landed on the ground, it might even transform into a sea of blood. Kill. The quasi-supreme void also shouted. The blood essence he spat out turned into a sea of blood that swept towards the Undying Monarch who was sent flying by the Chaos Stone Man. When the Chaos Stone Man saw this, he couldn't help but feel puzzled. Why didn't this human attack him, but the undying life form instead? The monstrous sea of blood enveloped the entire world. A pitilessly powerful destructive force erupted from the sea of blood, causing the hearts of all living beings in the world to palpitate. The quasi-supreme void was fighting with his life. He didn't hesitate to exhaust his vitality. Using his own blood essence as a guide, he unleashed an earth-shattering attack. Roar! The Undying Monarch roared at the sky. In the next instant, he was knocked over by the surging waves of blood and was devoured by the sea of blood. However, very quickly, a figure broke through the sea of blood and rushed out. Smoke was rising from his body, and the blood on his body was corroding his supreme undying body. The quasi-supreme undying energy cultivated by the Undying Monarch was continuously being eroded by the blood, endangering the source of his energy. This blood was weakening his strength, and wanted to beat him back to his original state. The Undying Monarch was incomparably malevolent. He directly charged into the sky, wanting to escape from this place. Where do you think you're going? The quasi-supreme void directly chased after the Undying Monarch with the sea of blood around him. Chimph, you want to leave? Have you asked for my permission? The Chaos Stone Man said angrily. At the same time, rays of primal divine light descended from the sky, blocking the path of the Undying Monarch. However, The undying monarch didn't stop. He directly rammed into the primal chaos divine light and created a huge hole in the primal chaos divine light that was blocking his way. He charged past it, and didn't stop. What? Chapter 2963. If a powerful quasi-supreme being wanted to escape, it wouldn't be easy for other quasi-supreme beings to intercept it. The immortal monarch had to escape because the Chaos Stone Golem and the Void Quasi-Supremes were targeting him. If he did not escape, he would be killed. The immortal monarch had to escape even at the cost of his vitality. The Void Quasi-Supreme expert naturally wouldn't let the undying monarch escape so easily. He directly chased after them. The two Quasi-Supreme experts instantly left. Damn it. The Chaos Stone Golem was both shocked and angry. He was drawing the power of the chaotic divine mountain. If he was too far away from the chaotic divine mountain, he would not be able to draw the power of the chaotic divine mountain for his own use. However, the Chaos Stone Golem only hesitated for a moment before he soared into the sky and chased after the immortal monarch. Since that guy dared to target the chaotic divine mountain, he could not be forgiven. Soon, the suffocating aura of the Quasi-Supremes disappeared. All the creatures in the chaotic absolute domain heaved a sigh of relief. The chaotic divine mountain that had been constantly shaking also gradually calmed down. The chaotic patterns that emerged from the mountain began to disappear into the mountain. Although the chaotic divine mountain had nurtured a chaos stone golem, the chaotic essence it contained was still astonishing. If the chaotic divine mountain was refined into a magic treasure, it would definitely display unimaginable power. Good chance. Gu Fei's doppelganger, who was far away in the sky, was overjoyed to see this. This was the result he wanted. The three Quasi-Supremes killed their way out of the chaotic absolute domain and entered the outside world. A terrifying aura spread out and immediately alerted countless creatures in the desolate world. What's going on? Some of the desolate world's experts were alarmed. Somewhere in the desolate world, a mountain exploded and a creature rushed out from the mountain. It was an incomparably huge centipede. A powerful aura spread out from the centipede's body, and a hazy cloud of poisonous mist spread out. The vitality of the entire mountain was quickly disappearing. Flowers and trees withered and leaves fell. The flowers and trees that were close to the centipede directly withered and turned yellow. However, just as the centipede broke out of the mountain, a figure rushed over from the distance. A terrifying aura suddenly descended, causing the centipede spirit to almost have a mental breakdown. At this moment, a huge hand surrounded by deathly aura reached down from the sky and grabbed the venomous centipede. In the next moment, the spirit essence of the centipede spirit was completely devoured by the giant hand, and it instantly died. It had to be said that this centipede spirit was too unlucky. It died as soon as it rushed out. It should be known that this centipede spirit was not a weak creature in the surrounding area. The terrifying figure swept across the mountain ridge and disappeared into the distance. In the air, the corpse of a centipede fell and smashed into the forest. At this time, another two extremely powerful auras came from afar. Two extremely powerful figures rushed over from above the mountain ridge. Countless living beings in the mountain were terrified. Some of them were so scared that they fell to the ground. Their bodies were trembling, and they were terrified to the extreme. Fortunately, these two extremely powerful figures did not stop and directly disappeared into the depths of the mountain ridge. Boom! Bang! An extremely shocking sound came from the depths of the mountain ridge. The mountains trembled. There were unbelievably powerful creatures fighting, and the terrifying fluctuations startled all directions. Is it a battle between sovereigns? Soon, the creatures outside the desolate domain of chaos knew what was happening. There were extremely powerful sovereigns fighting. This was definitely a major event that could shock the entire wasteland. Is the wasteland going to fall into chaos? Some of the old antiques of the wasteland world were alarmed and said such words. The wasteland world had been peaceful for countless years. Was this peace going to be completely broken? The peace of the wasteland world was actually relative. The wasteland world was equivalent to the desolate era of the human world. Therefore, there was no lack of powerful creatures in the wasteland world. In the wasteland world, these powerful creatures were all gods. Those who could become gods in the wasteland world were all saints in the eyes of Ji Yufei's doppelganger. The gods here were the saints of the human world and the heaven realm. Just as the quasi-supreme void and the other two were fighting, Ji Yufei's doppelganger took advantage of the opportunity and rushed toward the light ball above the chaotic divine mountain with the dragon-horned Chilean beast. Are we finally going to enter another world? The dragon-horned Chilean beast was extremely excited at the thought of this. Before meeting Ji Yufei's doppelganger, it would never have thought that there was another world other than the wasteland world. Ji Yufei's doppelganger did not pay attention to the dragon-horned Chilean beast. They quickly approached the light ball high in the sky and stopped in front of it. There seemed to be a world evolving above the light ball. Sometimes, chaos was born, and other times, everything was born. The wind was blowing and the clouds were scudding. The sky was high and the earth was thick. Sometimes, a part of the world collapsed and turned back into chaos. This was the process of a world from formation to destruction. This was a reincarnation. It was not the reincarnation of living creatures, but the reincarnation of the world. The dragon-horned Chilean beast had never seen such a scene. It could not help but be stunned. Don't just stand there. Let's go. As Ji Yufei's doppelganger spoke, he took a step forward and was about to enter the light ball. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly walked out from the light ball. Ji Yufei's doppelganger almost collided with that person. The four eyes stared at each other in shock. Kill. In the next moment, the two experts suddenly attacked. Ji Yufei's doppelganger threw a punch at the person in front of him. Dazzling golden light burst from his fist, like a golden sun rising into the dark sky. An extremely strong wave of power spread in all directions. The person in front of him also attacked. 9 rays of sword light rushed out from his body. An extremely sharp sword aura burst from the 9 rays of sword light. Vroom. The 9 rays of sword light hummed like real peerless weapons being unsheathed. Each ray of sword light seemed to be able to split the entire world in half. Moreover, each of the 9 rays of sword light exuded a terrifying murderous aura. This was the flying deity swordsmanship of the primordial celestial emperor. The fist of Ji Yufei's doppelganger collided with the 9 rays of sword light in an instant. The golden fist landed on the 9 rays of sword light and produced the unique sound of metal clashing and vibrating. It was as if peerless divine metals were colliding. The 9 rays of sword light were smashed away by the fist of Ji Yufei's doppelganger, but the power contained in the 9 rays of sword light knocked Ji Yufei's doppelganger away. What's going on? The dragon-horned Chilean beast was stunned by the sudden battle. However, it was a god of the deserted world after all. It quickly came to its senses and fled. However, no matter how fast it dodged, it was still hit by the flying deity swordsmanship. A bone-deep wound immediately appeared on its body. It was almost cut in half by the sword aura. How unlucky! The dragon-horned Chilean beast wanted to curse. This was truly an unexpected disaster. It only dared to stop after running for tens of thousands of miles. However, the flying deity swordsmanship that had invaded its body was still destroying its vitality. Master, save me. The dragon-horned Chilean beast sent a telepathic message to Ji Yufei's doppelganger in fear. It was unable to suppress the sword aura in its body and was in danger of having its spiritual soul destroyed. At this time, Ji Yufei's doppelganger had already started fighting with the expert that came out of the light ball. This guy was the primordial celestial emperor, or rather, another doppelganger of the primordial celestial emperor. The real body of the primordial celestial emperor would not come out so easily. Moreover, no one had ever seen the real body of the primordial celestial emperor for countless years. Ji Yufei's doppelganger directly shot a ray of divine light at the dragon-horned Chilean beast. The divine light instantly entered the body of the dragon-horned Chilean beast. Then, a ray of sword light rushed out of the dragon-horned Chilean beast and dissipated in the void. Swish! Just as Ji Yufei's doppelganger was about to save the dragon-horned Chilean beast, a ray of sword light instantly pierced the space between his eyebrows. The sword aura even tore open a bloody wound on his forehead. Void reversal. Ji Yufei's doppelganger directly used one of the 9 secrets of the immortal path, the void reversal secret technique. His entire body suddenly became faint and illusory, as if he could completely fuse with the surrounding void at any time. The ray of sword light instantly pierced through the shadow of Ji Fei's doppelganger, not harming it at all. What? The primordial celestial emperor's doppelganger couldn't help but be shocked. The 9 secrets of the immortal path, it's actually the 9 secrets of the immortal path. A mere doppelganger of yours actually knows the 9 secrets of the immortal path. The primordial celestial emperor stared at Ji Fei's doppelganger, his teeth clenched. There was a deep grudge between him and Ji Fei. His only son had died at the hands of Ji Fei. This kind of enmity was impossible to resolve. The primordial celestial emperor and Ji Fei were irreconcilable enemies. Only when one side was completely slaughtered by the other would this enmity end. Mph, what's so strange about that? Ji Fei's doppelganger said coldly. He stared at the primordial celestial emperor's doppelganger. This doppelganger was extraordinary and extremely powerful. This was a formidable opponent. What? Master is just a doppelganger? In the distance, the dragon-horn Shaline couldn't help being shocked when it heard the ancient celestial emperor's clone. It stared at Ji Fei's clone in disbelief. It really couldn't imagine that its master, who was strong enough to scare away an ancient god, was just a doppelganger. Then wouldn't his master's true body be even stronger? Was his master's true body a paragon? As the dragon-horn Shaline beast's thoughts ran wild, Ji Fei's doppelganger and the primordial celestial emperor's doppelganger clashed once more. This was a showdown between the 2 doppelgangers. Chapter 2964. Ji Fei's clone and Yuan Gu's clone unexpectedly met. Without any words exchanged, the 2 clones began to fight. This was a battle between holy venerables. In the desolate world, it was a battle between ancient gods. Although the battle between ancient gods was not as terrifying as the battle between quasi-supremes, it still caused quite a bit of commotion. Many chaotic lifeforms in the desolate domain were alarmed. Very soon, powerful chaotic lifeforms appeared in the area where the 2 clones were fighting. Haha, Yuan Jiyu, you cowardly tortoise still dare to appear. Ji Fei's doppelganger laughed as he spoke. Rays of golden light rushed out of his hands and bombarded Yuan Gu's doppelganger like golden lightning. Mph, do you think I'm afraid of you? How ridiculous. Yuan Gu's clone said coldly with a gloomy face. A mass of sword waves emerged from his body and blocked all the golden lights that bombarded him. Flying immortal sword. The doppelganger of the Yuan ancient celestial emperor immediately displayed the flying immortal swordsmanship that he was most proficient in. An unimaginably bright sword light rushed out of his body, as if it had become the only thing in the world. Heaven and earth lost their color as a terrifying sword chi fluctuation spread out from the sword light, causing the void to tremble. However, the void of the desolate world was extremely stable. Even if Yuan Gu's clone attacked with all his might, he could only shake the void. He could not destroy it. If he had attacked in the heaven realm or the human realm, the sword of Yuan Gu's clone would have destroyed the void. Of course, the might of the primordial heavenly Theacher's clone was indeed astonishing. Ji Fei's clone immediately used the 8 desolate steps and dodged the attack like a phantom. He moved extremely quickly, as if he was stepping on the divine light of the great path. Inescapable net, let's see how you dodge it. Yuan Gu's clone roared angrily. Countless rays of sword light rushed out of his body and intertwined together to form a large net. In an instant, the net enveloped the entire world, trapping Ji Fei's clone within it. Haha. I would still have some reservations if you focused your attacks on a single point. However, what kind of power do your scattered attacks have? Watch how I break your net of sword. Ji Fei's doppelganger laughed. Then, he pointed out with a finger and displayed the 9 heaven-punishing swords. Buzz. With a deafening roar, an extremely sharp sword light shot out from his fingers. It instantly tore apart the sword net that enveloped him, and then it charged out of the sword net. Shua. Just as Ji Fei's clone rushed out from the encirclement of the sword net, the clone of the ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch charged over. His silhouette blurred for a moment before 9 figures appeared in the void and surrounded Ji Fei's clone in an instant. Yes. Ji Fei's doppelganger was taken aback. Die. The 9 clones of the ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch roared at the same time and pounced towards Ji Yufei's clone at an extremely fast speed. What? Ji Yufei's clone was truly taken aback. The 9 clones of the ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch were all exuding a terrifying aura of destruction. This guy is crazy. Ji Yufei did not panic. He immediately used a secret immortal technique and his entire body became transparent. It was as if he had turned into a shadow and was about to escape into the void. However, at this moment, there was a loud bang. The 9 clones of the ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch exploded. The terrifying power of destruction that erupted caused the void where Ji Yufei's clone was to crack. One could imagine how powerful the explosion of the ancient Yuan Celestial Theater's clone was if cracks were to appear in the stable void of the desolate world. What? The dragon horn Cheline, who had retreated to a distance to watch the battle, was also stunned by this scene. It had never imagined that the guy who could compete with its master would explode. This guy is a madman. The dragon horn Cheline was clearly frightened. A wave of power swept over and blew it away, disappearing in an instant. How unlucky, how unlucky. The dragon horn Cheline's voice echoed in the void. It had to be said that it had been unlucky ever since it had recognized Ji Yufei as its master. It was indeed somewhat pitiful. At this moment, a figure rushed out from the terrifying power of destruction. His hair was disheveled and his clothes were in tatters. The left half of his body was gone, drenched in blood. This person was Ji Yufei's doppelganger. He was heavily injured and half of his body had been blown up. The part of his body that was not blown up had cracks on it, as if it could shatter at any time. Blood was seeping out from the cracks. Ji Yufei's doppelganger was in an extremely sorry state, but it was also extremely ferocious. Damn it! How dare you play this trick on me? Ji Yufei's clone was enraged. Rays of golden light rushed out from his body and the cracks on his body quickly disappeared. The half of his body that had been blown up was also recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. His flesh, tendons, and bones were growing again. In fact, to a certain extent, Ji Yufei's clone was not a real human. However, it was very similar to a human. It had flesh and blood and would bleed when it was injured. However, this clone contained immortal divinity. Therefore, even if it was blown up into a mist of blood, it could regenerate its body and recover its peak battle power. The only way to destroy this doppelganger was to destroy the immortal divinity in its body. Although Ji Yufei's clone seemed to be seriously injured, this kind of injury was nothing to him. Very soon, the half of his body that had been blown up grew again. A ball of divine light emerged from Ji Yufei's clone. In the next moment, his battle power recovered to its peak. What? An incomparably shocked voice rang out in the void. Then, a figure appeared in the void. It was the clone of the ancient Yuan Celestial Emperor that had just self-destructed. Ji Yufei's clone couldn't help but be shocked. Didn't this fellow self-destruct? How could he still appear? Could it be that this wasn't a self-destruction? Could it be that this was just an illusion? Could it be a killing technique that was similar to self-destruction? Good move. Ji Yufei's clone couldn't help but admire the ancient Yuan Celestial Emperor. This cowardly person, who had never dared to show his true body, had actually mastered such a terrifying killing technique. Page, you're not bad yourself. See you later. After saying that, the ancient Yuan Celestial Emperor's figure instantly disappeared into the void. Trying to escape. A ray of divine light shot out from the glabella of Ji Yufei's clone and swept towards the ancient Yuan Celestial Emperor's clone. However, it failed to hit the ancient Yuan Celestial Emperor's clone. Preposterous. Chapter 2965. The clone of the ancient Yuan Celestial Emperor was as cunning as ever. He immediately fled when he saw that the situation wasn't looking good. This made Ji Yufei's clone extremely resentful. Having such a cunning enemy was indeed a headache for Ji Yufei. Moreover, the clone of the ancient Yuan Celestial Emperor hadn't entered the desolate world for fun. The desolate world was like a piece of juicy meat that everyone wanted a bite of. Qin Huang had undoubtedly taken the first bite. He had directly suppressed the old Tongbi divine ape of the desolate world's firmament city and controlled a region. In the desolate world, the territories of the rulers were definitely not small. Some of the territories controlled by the rulers were even larger than a region of the human realm. It should be noted that the desolate world was a true world that had a flawless heavenly great path nomological laws. Even the ruler of the desolate world couldn't answer the question of how big this world was. Let's go. Jiyu Fei's clone didn't chase after the clone of the ancient Yuan celestial emperor. Instead, he called out to the dragon-horned Qilin beast that was rushing over from afar and then rushed towards the ball of light in the sky above the chaotic sacred mountain. This time, no one rushed out of the ball of light. Jiyu Fei's clone brought the dragon-horned Qilin beast into the ball of light. This was the first time the dragon-horned Qilin beast had crossed over to another world, so it was very curious about everything. It kept looking around, but it discovered that it couldn't see anything. It felt as if it was walking through a passage of time. Rays of divine light flew past its body from time to time, but strangely, these rays of divine light didn't harm it at all. There was even a beam of divine light that pierced through his body like a divine rainbow. It didn't hurt him at all. All of this seemed real and illusory at the same time. It didn't seem real, but it felt so real at the same time. However, the dragon-horned Qilin beast knew one thing. There was no concept of time here. It didn't know how long it had been in this state. This made it feel very depressed. In the end, it almost went crazy. Everything in front of it was always the same. It couldn't feel anything, not even its master. It was as if he was locked in a cage where he couldn't see the sky or the earth. Just when he was on the verge of going crazy but not yet, he suddenly felt a surge of heaven and earth aura. Yes, it was heaven and earth aura, one that was different from that of the deserted world. However, this heaven and earth aura was a bit strange, yet the dragon-horned Qilin beast couldn't say what was strange about it. This made him feel very surprised. Shua. At this moment, he seemed to have passed through a layer of transparent ripples and appeared in a dusky world. He looked around and almost peed his pants. Chaotic chi swirled around him, and within the chaotic chi, there were many powerful figures faintly visible. Countless powerful divine wills landed on him unscrupulously. It was as if he had been completely seen through by those creatures in an instant. Furthermore, these living beings that were directly scanning him with their divine senses were all powerful enough to make him tremble. So many ancient gods, the dragon-horned Qilin beast found it difficult to even speak. He found that there were even figures of sovereigns appearing in the chaotic void in the distance. This scared him so much that he almost turned around and ran back to the deserted world. However, at this moment, more than half of the unbridled divine wills suddenly retreated. A figure walked out from behind the dragon-horned Qilin. The beings that were powerful enough to make the dragon-horned Qilin tremble were shocked to see this person. Some of them immediately retreated. Master is so powerful in this world. These ancient gods are all afraid of him. The dragon-horned Qilin beast was both surprised and happy to see this. After all, the more powerful its master was, the more advantageous it was. Because if its master was strong enough, others wouldn't dare to harm it and would even try to curry favor with it. Of course, if its master was weak, naturally no one would care about the dragon-horned Qilin beast. They might even take it back as a pet beast. Page. Jiyu Fei's avatar walked out of the light ball and glanced around. Immediately, many powerful beings withdrew their divine wills from the dragon-horned Qilin beast. His back. In the chaotic divine mountain of the ancient heavenly court, a figure sitting cross-legged in the void suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze seemed to see through the void, ignoring the barrier of distance and looking into the chaotic void at the peak of the chaotic divine mountain. Someone actually came out of the light ball. Some quasi-supremes also sensed the situation in the chaotic void because these quasi-supremes had avatars or incarnations in the chaotic void. Although it was difficult for the quasi-supremes' divine wills to enter the chaotic void, the avatars could immediately sense everything that the avatars saw and heard. This was also why the quasi-supremes outside immediately knew when Jiyu Fei's avatar and the dragon-horned Qilin beast appeared. Rumble. Just then, something unforeseen happened. The chaotic aura in front of the light ball surged, and a huge golden hand broke through the layers of chaotic aura, grabbing toward Ji Yufei's clone and the dragon horn Shaolin beast in front of the light ball. What? Seeing this, Ji Yufei's avatar couldn't help being shocked and angry. He didn't think that someone would immediately attack him when he returned. Did this person really think that he was a pushover that could be pinched as he pleased? Kill. Ji Yufei's avatar was enraged. His body trembled and countless runes immediately rushed out of his body. The runes interweaved and evolved, transforming into 9 huge golden dragon shadows. The 9 golden dragons stirred up the entire chaotic void. Boundless chaotic energy surged, and the 9 dragon shadows directly collided with the huge golden hand that was grabbing at them. This was the 9 dragons' killing technique. It was a killing technique that Ji Yufei had obtained in the heaven realm back then. Now that it was being used by Ji Yufei's clone, the power of the 9 dragons' killing technique was astonishingly great. The surrounding chaotic energy was dispersed by the energy ripples that erupted from the 9 dragons. Boom! With a loud bang, the 9 murderous dragon shadows collided with the giant golden hand in an instant. The might displayed by the golden hand shocked Ji Yufei's avatar. The 9 golden dragon shadows actually collapsed under the golden hand, and countless runes dissipated in the void. He only felt a powerful force colliding with him, and he couldn't help but take a few steps back. Good fellow. Ji Yufei's avatar stared at the golden hand that was still grabbing at him. His gaze turned extremely sharp. Golden light surrounded his body, and a holy venerable aura erupted from his body. Master. Chapter 2966. In the void of chaos, in front of the mysterious light ball that connected the ancient celestial court and the desolate world, Ji Yufei's avatar was sent flying by a golden hand. Roar. Ji Yufei's avatar roared to the sky and a terrifying aura spread in all directions. The endless chaotic chi was dispersed and beams of golden light intertwined around his body like golden lightning. Ji Yufei's avatar was furious. Although he was only an avatar, he still had his pride. His opponent had attacked him without any scruples. It was really despicable. Be obedient and let me search your divine sense. Otherwise, I'll directly scatter your souls. A figure walked out of the chaotic chi. It was a figure shrouded in a ball of golden light, like a golden sun, blooming with endless golden light. An extremely powerful aura spread out from this figure. This was an incomparably powerful Saint Venerable. Within the golden light, there were golden runes interweaving. How arrogant! Hearing this, Ji Yufei's avatar could not help but narrow his eyes. Who was this guy? Did he think he was a supreme master? How dare he say such words in front of him? Master, what should we do? This guy seems to be very strong. The dragon horn Shaolin beast transmitted its voice to Ji Yufei's avatar. What should we do? It's simple. One word, kill. Ji Yufei's avatar said in a deep voice. Then, he directly used the 8 desolation steps and disappeared in the void. The next moment, when he reappeared, he was already above the head of the figure. Rumble, Ji Yufei's avatar stepped down and there was a thunderous sound in the void. Golden lightning emerged under his feet. This was the 8 kill steps. With one step, the destructive power immediately surged from the feet of Ji Yufei's avatar to the golden figure below. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. The powerful figure shrouded in golden light said. Then, he raised his hand and blasted upwards. A ball of golden light emerged from his hand. Boom! With a loud bang, the right leg of Ji Yufei's clone collided with the golden deity's hand. It was like 2 stars colliding, and a shocking sound erupted. At the same time, terrifying energy ripples spread out in all directions, dispersing the chaotic energy within a radius of tens of thousands of miles. Without the primal chaos chi blocking them, many powerful figures appeared in the void. It had to be said that this golden deity was truly powerful. He had once again forced back Ji Yufei's clone. His strength was extremely tyrannical. Seeing this scene, many experts were extremely shocked. This golden deity was really powerful. He actually dared to attack that person. That person's true body was outside the chaotic void at this time. Quite a few powerful existences that entered the primal chaos void knew that this vicious person had come. He was just outside, and this vicious person here was merely a clone. No one knew if this golden deity knew the origin of this vicious person. You're not bad yourself. How about becoming my servant? The golden deity stared at Ji Yufei's clone and said. He was a little surprised that the other party could actually withstand his palm. After all, his cultivation was about to take that step. Although he dared not say that he was invincible among his peers, there were only a few people in the Holy Venerate realm who could defeat him. Haha, upon hearing this, Ji Yufei's clone couldn't help but burst into laughter. This guy is really crazy. In the distant sky, the powerful existences that heard such words were extremely shocked. Although the golden deity was powerful, he was no match for that vicious person. He still doesn't know that he has kicked an iron plate. This guy is destined to have a tragedy. Someone shook his head and said. No one was optimistic about the golden deity, but some people knew his origin. The force behind this guy was not to be underestimated because this golden deity was from the Golden Imperial clan. The Golden Imperial clan and the Purple Cloud Imperial clan of the Buzhou ancestral planet were cultivation clans that had produced extreme grade supremes in the past. No one was willing to offend such a clan leader because, to a certain extent, such cultivation clans were stronger than the clan of the ancients and had a deeper foundation. However, Ji Yufei was not an existence that ordinary people were willing to provoke. This guy was famous for being fierce and protective of his people. Whoever provoked him would be unlucky. However, this golden deity didn't seem to know Ji Yufei at all. He actually attacked Ji Yufei's clone, which made those who knew about Ji Yufei think that he was crazy. I'll be your servant. Ji Yufei's clone laughed. I'm letting you be my servant because I think highly of you. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. The golden deity said. Haha, then shouldn't I thank you for thinking highly of me? Ji Yufei's clone looked at the golden deity as if he was looking at a fool. This guy was so funny that he couldn't help but want to laugh. You should know that there are many people who want to be my, Jin Ao's, servant. You should feel honored that I am willing to accept you. Golden deity Jin Ao said. Haha, I really feel honored. Ji Yufei's doppelganger said in disdain. Then why don't you get over here and greet your master? Golden deity Jin Ao said. That's not urgent. Actually, I wanted to tell you that I also think highly of you. What should we do? Ji Yufei's avatar shook his head and said. What did you say? Golden deity Jin Ao said in surprise. Don't you understand? I mean, I also think highly of you. Ji Yufei's doppelganger stopped smiling and said seriously. So what? The golden deity finally realized something, and his tone became cold. A chilling murderous intent emanated from his body, and the surrounding temperature dropped rapidly. This expert from the Golden Imperial clan was determined to kill Ji Yufei's doppelganger. The dignity of experts could not be despised, especially by the weak. That means that you're not bad either. You can also be my servant. Ji Yufei's doppelganger stared at golden deity Jin Ao and said in a deep voice. Golden deity Jin Ao was infuriated. His sharp gaze turned into a tangible sword light that pierced towards Ji Yufei's doppelganger at an extremely fast speed. Ji Yufei's doppelganger laughed and soared into the sky, displaying his extremely fast movement technique. Two sword lights instantly flew past his feet, causing the void to tremble wherever the sword lights passed. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish, golden deity Jin Ao said coldly. Golden deity Jin Ao said coldly. The next moment, endless golden light spread out from his body and enveloped the entire world as if it was going to propel a golden world. Ji Yufei's doppelganger could not help but be moved when he saw this scene. He felt a blazing aura. The golden light that spread out from Jin Ao's body seemed to be melting everything. It was as if a real golden sun had appeared in the chaotic void. This scene was too shocking. The golden sun formed by golden deity Jin Ao seemed to be melting everything. Even Ji Yufei's doppelganger felt as if his body was about to melt. Some experts who were watching the battle from afar screamed and retreated. The golden light that emanated from Jin Ao's body had a strange power that could actually obliterate everything and reduce the cultivation of cultivators. This made everyone inexplicably shocked. What kind of killing technique is this? A ball of divine light emerged from Ji Yufei's doppelganger, isolating the shining golden light. Then, he directly attacked the golden sun. Roar! An incomparably shocking dragon roar rang out. 9 golden dragons rushed out from Ji Yufei's doppelganger and pounced at golden deity Jin Ao with their fangs and claws bared. Melt! Golden deity Jin Ao roared angrily. An even more blazing golden light erupted from his body. Within the golden light, there were golden runes faintly discernible, obliterating everything. The 9 dragons immediately became dim when they were illuminated by the golden light that spread out from the golden deity's body. Countless Tao patterns on the dragon's shadows were obliterated by the golden light. This is, Ji Yufei's doppelganger was taken aback. The killing technique that Jin Ao displayed was actually very similar to the Wu secret of the 9 secrets of the immortal path. It could actually melt the power of the great path. In the end, the 9 dragons that pounced at golden deity Jin Ao were obliterated by the golden light emitted from Jin Ao's body when they reached him. They disappeared in the golden light. As expected, Ji Yufei's doppelganger couldn't help but be shocked when he saw this scene. He had only used the 9 dragons killing technique to test the waters. However, in the next moment, a huge golden hand slapped out and directly slapped Ji Yufei's doppelganger away. Golden deity Jin Ao had displayed overwhelming combat power. Golden deity Jin Ao was a genuine saint venerate, and a peak saint venerate at that. He was only half a step away from taking that final step. Such an existence could suppress Ji Yufei's doppelganger. Of course, although the golden deity's cultivation and combat power were above Ji Yufei's doppelganger, it was absolutely impossible for him to destroy Ji Yufei's doppelganger. This was because Ji Yufei's doppelganger was indestructible. No one could destroy his doppelganger unless it was a quasi-supreme. Although Ji Yufei's doppelganger was blasted away, it didn't suffer any damage. At this time, the dragon-horned Shaolin beast couldn't help but be shocked when it saw this scene. It really couldn't imagine that someone at the same level could actually suppress its master. The dragon-horned Shaolin beast was very slippery, and it dodged long ago. Everyone who saw Ji Yufei's doppelganger being blasted away by golden deity Jin Ao was extremely shocked. After all, this was Ji Yufei's doppelganger. Since you refuse to be my servant, then you can go to hell. Chapter 2967. Jin Ao was also a powerful being in the Golden Imperial clan. He had always been extremely domineering. Seeing that Ji Yufei's clone was not willing to submit to him, he used his killing move decisively. Clang! The golden Dao bell rang. Countless patterns intertwined on the bell, and an extremely powerful power of the great path of metal surged out from the bell. Ji Yufei's doppelganger was directly enveloped by this Dao bell. What? The dragon-horned Shaolin, who was watching from afar, was so shocked that his eyeballs were about to fall out. His master was actually enveloped by the golden Dao bell. How was this possible? This was too unbelievable. To the dragon-horned Shaolin's knowledge, his master had never been suppressed to such an extent. This was a display of absolute inferiority. Clang! Ji Yufei's clone was trapped in the golden Dao bell. The bell rang continuously, turning into a terrifying power that wanted to completely obliterate him. Ji Yufei's clone shone with golden light. The aura of the great path surged as he resisted the power of the golden Dao bell with all his might. Moreover, he kept bombarding the walls of the golden Dao bell. Clang! The golden Dao bell continued to shake violently. Golden patterns intertwined on the walls of the bell. There were actually fist prints or palm prints protruding, which shocked the golden deity. This guy actually has such combat power. He could not help but be shocked. It should be known that this golden Dao bell was a holy venerate Dao item that he had refined for countless years. If an ordinary holy venerate was enveloped by the golden Dao bell, they would have long been obliterated. Kill! Jin Ao leaped up and sat cross-legged on the golden Dao bell. He used his mystic arts with all his might to activate the power of the golden Dao bell to suppress Ji Yufei's clone. However, Ji Yufei's clone contained immortal divinity. Even if it was shattered into a cloud of blood mist, it could still reform its physical body without losing any combat power. You don't have the right to kill me. It might be possible if a golden quasi-supreme being attacked. Jiyu Fei's clone stopped attacking the golden Dao Bell. He knew that with his cultivation and combat power, it would be very difficult to break the golden Dao Bell. Since it was difficult to break, he would wait for his real body to come and save him. Mitch, you think too highly of yourself. Golden deity Jin Ao's voice rang in the heart of Jiyu Fei's avatar. Jiyu Fei's clone did not say anything else. He directly sat down in the golden Dao Bell and remained extremely calm. There was even a hint of a smile on his face. How can you still laugh like this? Golden deity Jin Ao said in surprise. At this time, the spectators in the distance all felt a powerful aura appear in the chaotic void. Everyone couldn't help but change their expressions. Some experts naturally knew who had arrived. Some experts who were not on good terms with the Golden Imperial clan looked at Jin Ao, who was sitting cross-legged on the golden Dao Bell, gloating. This guy didn't even know that he had kicked an iron plate. He was really unlucky. This is, the dragon horn Chilean beast that was worried about Jiyu Fei's clone sensed the powerful aura that suddenly appeared in the chaotic void, and it couldn't help but be bewildered. This aura seemed familiar. Some of the experts in the chaotic void retreated quietly. It was obvious that they didn't want to meet that powerful existence, so they tactfully retreated before that powerful existence appeared. If you know what's good for you, quickly let me out. Otherwise, you'll be in big trouble. Jiyu Fei's clone, who was trapped in the golden Dao Bell, suddenly said. Phut, you've already been sealed in the Dao Bell by me. What else can you do? Golden deity Jin Ao said disdainfully. He was still activating the golden Dao Bell in an attempt to slowly exhaust Jiyu Fei's clone. He had plenty of time, so he could definitely exhaust this guy to death. However, at this moment, an extremely powerful divine will instantly locked onto the powerful figure that was sitting on the golden Dao Bell and emitting millions of rays of golden light. What? Jin Ao was really shocked, because the fluctuation of this divine will was so powerful that he couldn't help but tremble. It was as if he was being watched by an invincible supreme being. I told you that you're in big trouble, but you didn't believe me. Sigh. Jiyu Fei's clone shook his head helplessly in the golden Dao Bell. At this time, how could golden deity Jin Ao still have the time to care about the guy he had sealed in the Dao Bell? A layer of cold sweat had already seeped out of his forehead. He's right. You're really in big trouble. A voice came out from the chaotic chi, and then a figure faintly appeared in the chaotic chi. What? Jin Ao's expression changed when he heard this. He had vaguely guessed something, but he wasn't so sure. If that was really the case, then he had really stepped on dog shit this time. The fierce person is here. Get out of the way. Many of the experts who were watching the battle immediately retreated. Senior, is there some misunderstanding between us? Golden deity Jin Ao said calmly. After all, he was one of the top figures in the Golden Imperial clan, so he wouldn't be frightened by an existence of this level. There's no misunderstanding. The faintly discernible figure in the chaotic chi said. Could it be that you, Golden deity Jin Ao's expression became extremely ugly. He really hadn't expected such an outcome. This was too tragic. Yes, master. The dragon horn Chilean beast, who was watching from afar, was extremely shocked. At this time, it also guessed that the real body of its master had arrived. Then, a figure walked out of the chaotic chi. What? When Jin Ao, who was sitting cross-legged on the golden Dao Bell, saw that person, he was so scared that he almost fell off the law bell. This person looked exactly the same as the black-robed young man he had sealed in the golden Dao Bell. Slap yourself 100 times and then scram. The black-robed young man looked coldly at Jin Ao on the golden Dao Bell and said. Jin Ao's expression changed several times when he heard this. He was from the Golden Imperial clan, the descendant of a supreme. This guy actually dared to humiliate him like this. This almost made him go berserk. Why aren't you slapping yourself? Do you want me to do it? Jiyu Fei said coldly. How dare you? I am the descendant of the Golden Supreme from the Buzhou ancestral star. How dare you humiliate me like this? Jin Ao shouted angrily. Very well, this is what you asked for. As Jiyu Fei said this, his figure disappeared in the void. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the golden Dao bell. Without any hesitation, he directly punched the golden Dao bell. It seemed like an ordinary punch, but the power it displayed was astonishing. Jin Ao frantically activated the power of the law bell to resist Ji Yufei's punch. Chapter 2968. Ji Yufei's true body had arrived. He was incomparably domineering, and as soon as he arrived, he wanted the golden deity Jin Ao to slap his own face. However, who was Jin Ao? He was a descendant of a supreme being, so he naturally wouldn't suffer such humiliation. The bloodline of the Golden Imperial clan was extremely arrogant. Humiliating them was even more unbearable than killing them. Ji Yufei naturally did not care whether this fellow was a descendant of a sovereign or not. Since he dared to attack his clone, it was equivalent to attacking him. He would have to pay a price for that. Since this saint of the Golden Imperial clan did not slap himself, Yi Futian could only do it himself. Ji Yufei's figure flashed and directly appeared in front of the golden Dao bell. Then, he threw a punch at the golden Dao bell. This punch did not have powerful energy fluctuations or dazzling divine light. It seemed ordinary, but the power it displayed was extremely shocking. No matter how hard golden deity Jin Ao tried to activate the power of the law bell, the power of the golden great path surged in the chaotic void. However, Ji Yufei's fist directly hit the body of the golden Dao bell. All the Dao laws could not stop this seemingly casual punch of his. Catcher! The sound of something shattering was heard from the golden Dao bell. Then, under the dumbfounded gaze of all the experts, cracks appeared on the golden Dao bell. Those cracks were centered on Ji Yufei's fist and quickly spread to the entire golden Dao bell. Boom! With a loud bang, the entire golden Dao bell actually exploded. Jin Ao, who was sitting cross-legged on the golden Dao bell, was directly blown away. He coughed up blood continuously and the golden divine light on his body immediately dimmed. At the same time, a figure rushed out from the broken golden Dao bell while laughing. Quasi-sovereign, Jin Ao was extremely shocked. This was a quasi-sovereign, and he was not a match for him at all. Yi Futian had only used one punch to shatter the Dao tool that he had refined for countless years. This was a great shock to him. Too powerful, all the living beings who witnessed this scene were stunned by the power displayed by Ji Yufei's punch. It seemed like a casual punch, but it actually possessed such power. It was simply too unbelievable. Returning to the natural state, some of the living beings were able to see through Ji Yufei's punch. Ji Yufei's cultivation had already reached a level where he could unleash great power with just a lift of his hand. You asked for it. Ji Yufei shot a glance at Jin Ao, who was sent flying thousands of miles away. He didn't put this fellow in his eyes at all. If it was a gold quasi-sovereign, he might have some scruples. However, the gold to be supreme warrior had entered the deserted world and there was no sign of him coming back. In the next moment, the two figures merged into one. Ji Yufei's doppelganger entered his real body and returned to his real body. That's actually your clone. Jin Ao found it hard to believe. Although he had already guessed something, he was still inexplicably shocked when he actually saw this scene. This person actually had a holy venerate level clone. Even if this person was a quasi-supreme being, it would still be very difficult for him to refine a holy venerable level clone. Of course, even though it was very difficult, it wasn't impossible. Swoosh! Ji Yufei's figure disappeared again. In the next moment, he appeared in the sky above Jin Ao, like a supreme ruler looking down at an ant below. Damn it! Jin Ao was both shocked and angry. His opponent's gaze was as if he was looking down on an ant, which made him extremely ashamed and resentful. However, his opponent's cultivation base and strength were there for all to see. It was difficult for him to resist. To Ji Yufei, although he didn't want to admit it, he was indeed an ant. What, you're not satisfied? Ji Yufei said coldly. In the next moment, a powerful pressure spread from his body. Golden deity Jin Ao felt his body sink, as if an ancient divine mountain had suddenly pressed down on him. He immediately knelt in the void. Roar! Jin Ao roared and struggled to stand up. However, no matter how much he urged the power in his body, he couldn't straighten his back. It was as if all the bones in his body were about to break. So what if you're from an imperial clan? Your identity is nothing in my eyes, Gu Fei. Gu Fei looked down at golden deity Jin Ao and said, "What? You're Gu Fei?" The golden deity Jin Ao was shocked, and his voice began to tremble. This person was actually Gu Fei, and he actually made a move against such a vicious person. Jin Ao's forehead was sweating again when he thought of this. He had long heard of Gu Fei's fame because Gu Fei had created a great reputation in the ancestral star of Buzhou. After coming to the ancestral star of the soaring dragon, he heard many experts talking about Gu Fei. Gu Fei was a fierce person. No one dared to provoke him. Everything he did was earth-shattering. It wasn't something that ordinary people could do. This fierce person dared to fight against the forces of the ancient barons, dared to compete with the experts of the imperial clan, and even flattened the forbidden area of the heaven realm. Such a record was absolutely unprecedented. It should be known that even the supremes of the ancient times couldn't flatten the forbidden area, which had existed since ancient times. Humph. Gu Fei didn't say anything else. At this time, the dragon-horn Chelin rushed over from afar. "Greetings, Master." The dragon-horn Chelin directly knelt at the feet of Gu Fei. He was overjoyed. With such a powerful master, who would dare to bully him in the future? "You're very smart," Gu Fei said. "Master, you flatter me." The dragon-horn Chelin hurriedly said. "You'll be my mount from now on," Gu Fei said. "Yes, Master." The dragon-horn Chelin was overjoyed. At this time, he didn't feel that it was embarrassing to be Gu Fei's mount. Instead, he felt that it was an honor. It should be known that experts like Gu Fei would definitely have countless creatures fighting to be his mount. "Let's go back first," Gu Fei said and directly leaped onto the back of the dragon-horn Chelin. He rode the dragon-horn Chelin and left the chaotic void, disappearing into the dark world. All the experts in the chaotic void didn't dare to stop Gu Fei. It should be known that the golden deity Jin Ao was the best example. After Gu Fei left for a while, the golden deity Jin Ao dared to stand up. He had actually fought with Gu Fei's clone. This made him feel as if he had taken a trip to the gates of hell. It should be known that a fierce person like Gu Fei could kill him as easily as moving a finger. This fierce person wouldn't care whether he was from the Golden Imperial clan or not. Jin Ao didn't know why Gu Fei didn't kill him. He directly left the chaotic void. He wanted to report everything here back to his family. Chapter 2969. At the peak of the Divine Mountain in the central region of the ancient heavenly court, chaotic aura surged. In the depths of the void shrouded by the chaotic aura, a mysterious ball of light was emitting a hazy brilliance. This brilliance was very gentle and not dazzling at all. On the surface of the ball of light, there were all kinds of things in the world. It was a miniature version of the world. However, no one knew that this was a miniature version of the world. The images on the ball of light were constantly changing. Sometimes there were wild beasts roaring, sometimes huge waves surging, and sometimes there were mountains collapsing and the sun and moon losing their light. In the end, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked, the world was destroyed, and the world returned to chaos. This ball of light was too mysterious and unfathomable. It was actually evolving the formation and destruction of the world. This was the reincarnation of the world. Not only did everything in the world have reincarnation, but everything in the world also had reincarnation. Many experts gathered near this ball of light to observe and comprehend it. Some people believed that the ball of light contained the mysteries of the world. If they could comprehend it, they might be able to become the strongest expert in the world. Therefore, experts constantly entered the chaotic void above the chaotic divine mountain to comprehend the secrets of the ball of light. This was also why Gu Fei's clone and the dragon-horn Chelin saw so many experts when they walked out of the ball of light. The battle between Gu Fei and the golden deity Jin Ao was over. Many experts who retreated also returned to the vicinity of the ball of light. However, no one expected that there would be another living being walking out of the ball of light. It was a black vine shrouded in chaotic aura. The experts couldn't help but be shocked when they saw this black vine. As soon as this black vine walked out of the ball of light, it directly took root in the void and absorbed the chaotic aura in the void. This black vine was the chaotic vine. The chaotic aura in the void was its nourishment, and it crazily devoured the chaotic aura in the surroundings. However, this black vine was actually very shocked. It never expected to encounter so many incomparably powerful living beings as soon as it came here. It's not a living being from our side. After a brief silence, someone exclaimed, "Capture it." Someone made a move right away. A huge, pitch-black hand emitted a chilling aura as it grabbed towards the vine of chaos, which was rooted in the void in front of the light ball and was madly devouring the chaotic essence chi. As the expert made his move, the temperature in the air plummeted rapidly. It was as if the air was about to solidify. It's the great Yin Saint Exalt. Someone recognized the expert who was hidden in the black gas and had attacked the vine of chaos. The Tai-Yin Saint Sovereign was a saint sovereign who cultivated the power of the Tai-Yin. The power of the Tai-Yin was extremely domineering. A single strand of Tai-Yin Qi could freeze 10,000 miles. It was very powerful. Furthermore, this kind of yin power was impossible to guard against. By the time the cultivators fighting against the lunar Saint Venerable felt the cold, it was already too late. It was difficult for them to avoid the fate of being frozen into ice sculptures. Shua. Just as the black hand was about to grab the chaos vine moved as well. A vine that was like a spear pierced towards the black hand. However, the vine was unable to pierce the black hand because it was frozen by the power of the Tai-Yin that was emitted from the black hand. Then, it shattered instantly. The black hand continued to grab the chaos vine. Powerful power of the Tai-Yin exploded from the black hand and even the surrounding chaotic chi was frozen. Roar! The chaos vine roared furiously and a ball of chaotic light surged from its body, blocking the mighty power of the Tai-Yin. Then, a huge figure appeared in the ball of chaotic light. That is, seeing this, all the living beings were shocked. They saw that the chaos vine had turned into a giant that was more than 30 meters tall. The giant's hair was made up of vines, and each vine was surrounded by chaotic lightning. An extremely powerful wave of chaotic power exploded from the giant's body. It was a chaos giant and every single strand of hair was absorbing the chaotic essence in the surrounding void. The chaotic light that shot out of its eyes was hundreds of feet long and it was terrifying. Rumble, the chaos giant that was transformed from the chaos vine slammed its palm towards the black hand. Chaotic chi surged and the void shook. On the chaos giant's hand, there were countless chaos Dao patterns intertwining. Boom! With a loud bang, the two giant hands collided. The power of the Tai-Yin and the chaotic power exploded and ripples that were visible to the naked eye appeared in the void. Some hair-thin cracks in the space disappeared instantly. The two figures quickly separated and the chaos giant was pushed back. It lowered its head and saw that its right hand was covered in a thick layer of ice. A cold air had invaded its arm and was spreading upwards. With a wave of its left hand, the chaos giant chopped off its right arm. Its right arm immediately shattered in the void, and at the next moment, a new arm quickly grew out from its body. The chaos giant's original form was a chaos vine. It contained powerful life essence and could regrow its broken branches. That day when it fought against Ji Yufei's doppelganger, all 9 of the chaos vine's vines were chopped off by Ji Yufei's doppelganger. Didn't it grow back too? At this time, the Tai-Yin Saint Venerable was also pushed back. What a powerful otherworldly creature. The Tai-Yin Saint Venerable was shocked. The combat power displayed by the Chaos Vine was not to be underestimated. This Chaos Vine was actually a Saint Venerable level creature. At this time, the other experts could not sit still anymore. Powerful figures appeared in the distance. Every one of them emitted an extremely dangerous aura as though they could attack the Chaos Giant at any time. It's mine. The Tai-Yin Saint Venerable glanced at those powerful figures and said coldly, "All right." Those powerful figures stopped immediately and no longer pressed forward. These experts were a little wary of the Tai-Yin Saint Venerable. One should know that he was a Saint Venerable. You guys are courting death. The Chaos Giant that was transformed from the Chaos Vine was unhappy. Did these people really think that he was a pushover? You are the one who is courting death. You actually dared to cross over to this world. You really don't know what's good for you. The Tai-Yin Saint Venerable said as he took a step forward and pressed towards the Chaos Giant. Powerful Tai-Yin power spread out from his body. An extremely cold aura froze the void. Even the Chaos Giant was frozen in an instant. Boom. Chapter 2970. A battle between holy venerables erupted. The great Yin Saint Sovereign and the Chaos Vine transformed into a chaotic giant fought. The two experts' cultivation and battle prowess were similar, so it was difficult to determine the victor in a short time. This battle, however, alarmed countless powerful beings. Powerful auras constantly appeared in the chaotic void. Is that a being from another world? Someone couldn't help but be shocked when he saw the chaotic giant. Apart from the mortal realm and heavenly realm, there were actually other worlds. While the great Yin Saint Sovereign and the chaotic giant fought, Ji Yufei rode the dragon horn Shaolin toward the ancient heavenly court's southern heavenly gate. Soon, Ji Yufei saw the southern heavenly gate. Without hesitation, he rode the dragon horn Shaolin out of the southern heavenly court. At this time, in another region of the ancient heavenly court's ruins, there was a huge ghost city. Powerful beings were fighting, and terrifying tiger roars constantly resounded from the city. The silhouette of a huge black tiger could be faintly seen in the city. The being fighting the black tiger was actually a dragon. To be more precise, it was a bone dragon. The bone dragon's body was as huge as a mountain. Endless death aura surged from the bone dragon's body, enveloping half of the ghost city. The black tiger fighting the bone dragon was the Black Shaolin Tiger Emperor. At this time, Ming Qiong was nowhere to be seen. Of course, with Ming Qiong's cultivation, aside from quasi-supremes, no one could threaten him. Damn it. Why are there so many undying beings here? The Black Shaolin Tiger Emperor roared. The black Shaolin on his body vibrated, and rays of black light shot out from his body, transforming into a supreme sword light that slashed at the bone dragon. However, when the sharp sword light slashed at the bone dragon's body, it produced a clanging sound. It simply couldn't leave any marks on the bone dragon's body. Preposterous. Could this fellow have been an ancestral dragon when he was alive? The Black Shaolin Tiger Emperor was incomparably shocked. His sword light couldn't harm the bone dragon at all. How was this possible? It was simply unbelievable. At this time, the bone dragon opened its mouth and spat out a destructive flame. The fire directly burned at the Black Shaolin Tiger Emperor, instantly enveloping the entire void. It was a wave of death flames that caused the void to distort. The Black Shaolin Tiger Emperor hurriedly dodged. The bone dragon immediately chased after the Black Shaolin Tiger Emperor, and the two experts began their chase in Ghost City. At this time, Ji Yufei left the ruins of the ancient heavenly court. He rode on the dragon horn Shaolin beast and charged out from the depths of the starry sky. The dragon horn Shaolin beast was incomparably mighty, and it wasn't slow either. Very soon, Ji Yufei rode the dragon horn Shaolin beast back to the southern mountains of the heaven realm, directly arriving in the sky above the Luoxia courtyard. Roar! When Ji Yufei rode on the dragon horn Shaolin beast and approached the Luoxia courtyard, a low roar sounded from the entrance of the courtyard. Then, a flame soared into the sky and flew towards Ji Yufei. Its master. Master is back. Amidst the flames, a fire Shaolin was faintly discernible. The powerful aura of a divine beast spread out, and even the dragon horn Shaolin beneath Ji Yufei felt its heart palpitate. When the two divine beasts met, they naturally opposed each other with equal harshness. The fire Shaolin looked at the dragon horn Shaolin beneath Ji Yufei unfriendly. As for the dragon horn Shaolin, it stared at the fire Shaolin in front of it. On its dragon horn, rays of lightning-like divine light began to appear, and a violent aura spread out from its body. Greetings, Master. The fire Shaolin didn't dare to be negligent. It hurriedly knelt down towards Ji Yufei, who was riding on the back of the dragon horn Shaolin beast. Yes. Ji Yufei nodded his head, then he rode the dragon horn Shaolin beast and rushed down from the sky, directly entering the Luoxia courtyard. You're finally back. In a pavilion in the backyard of the Luoxia courtyard, a white-clothed lady who was playing with a fist-sized chick suddenly smiled. The chick screeched at the sky discontentedly, then took a finger-sized fruit from the white-clothed lady's hand, but it was covered in a layer of bloody light. If anyone were to see that the white-clothed lady was using such a magical fruit to feed her pet, they would definitely be shocked. This magical fruit was hard to find in the world, and it was the dragon blood fruit. This magical fruit had the ability to strengthen one's body and blood, and it had the miraculous effect of transforming a cultivator's physical body to become even stronger. Normal cultivators wouldn't even have seen such a fruit, let alone eat it. To think that this chick was using the dragon blood fruit as food. This was way too extravagant. At this moment, a strange beast descended from the sky and landed in the courtyard. This strange beast looked like a Chileen, but it had a pair of ancestral dragon horns. On the back of the strange beast sat a black-clothed young man. This black-clothed young man was Jiyu Fei. "Why did you go so early?" The white-clothed lady reached out to pick up the chick, placed it on her shoulder, and then walked out of the pavilion. "I found something interesting, so I came back a little late." Jiyu Fei jumped down from the back of the dragon-horned Chileen beast, came in front of the white-clothed lady, and hugged her. "You must have gone crazy playing again," Yang Er said impatiently. Actually, her daughter Jiyu Ling's personality was very similar to Jiyu Fei's. Once they started playing, they would forget about everything else. Yang Er wondered how they were doing after walking on the ancient road of the human race. Just as Yang Er was thinking about her daughter who had walked on the ancient road of the human race, Jiyu Ling, Yang Er, Zhao Hao, and the others were hiding in a dangerous place, not daring to go out. That was because the powerful beings of the Dongfang family were guarding outside. Unless they were tired of living, they would not come out of this dangerous place. Even though Jiyu Ling and the others were in a difficult situation, their lives were not in danger. "What's so interesting?" Yang Er said. The commotion in the depths of the starry sky was too big. She had also sensed it, but she was not a person who liked crowds. Even though she was curious, she had no intention of leaving the Luoxia courtyard. "Yeah, I found the ruins of the ancient heavenly court, and then another world," Jiyu Fei said. What? Hearing this, Yang Er couldn't help but be moved no matter how calm she was. She knew that although Jiyu Fei said it casually, what he had encountered must be soul-stirring, causing one's imagination to run wild. "Do you want to go and see?" Jiyu Fei said. Another heaven and earth, another world. It was impossible for Yang Er not to be moved. In the end, Jiyu Fei brought Yang Er, the fire Chileen, and the dragon-horned Chileen beast out of the Luoxia courtyard, rushing towards the starry sky. Very quickly, they entered the starry sky. Chapter 2971. Jiyu Fei and Yang Er rode the dragon-horned Chileen into the depths of space and arrived before the ancient heavenly court. This is the ancient heavenly court. Yang Er sensed the ancient and vicissitudes of life ahead and was astonished. Only an ancient ruin that had existed for countless years would have such a unique aura. Yes, the legendary Southern Heavenly Gate is right ahead. Jiyu Fei pointed to a gatehouse ahead and said, "Southern Heavenly Gate." Yang Er curiously looked in the direction that Jiyu Fei was pointing at. She saw a powerful figure walking into the gate. Then, she felt that something was amiss. After entering the gate, the silhouette disappeared into the distance in an instant as if it was crossing through the endless void. Yang Er was astonished. That person only took one step into the gate and it was as if he had shrunk in size, giving people a feeling of being separated by an endless void. Rumble, at this time, a shocking sound came from the ancient heavenly court. Then, a monstrous aura of death surged out from the depths of the ancient heavenly court. What's going on? Jiyu Fei was astonished. Didn't the immortal monarch enter the desolate world a long time ago? How could there be such a powerful undead in the ancient heavenly court? On that day, the undying monarch gathered countless undying creatures in the ghost city and devoured the endless death essence chi. Countless undying creatures died. Logically speaking, with the ancient heavenly court as the center, there shouldn't be a single undead within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles. However, how long had it been? Another undead that was almost as powerful as the immortal monarch appeared in the ancient heavenly court. Could it be that something happened in the ancient heavenly court? The ruins of the ancient heavenly court contained a great secret that had existed for thousands of years. No one knew what would happen in the ruins. For the weak, this was definitely a dangerous place. The slightest carelessness would cause them to fall into a trap and lose their lives. Even saint-level beings had to be careful in the ancient heavenly court because there was a remnant power of law that even saints couldn't withstand. One had to know that this was an ancient ruin. An earth-shattering battle had taken place here in the past. Even an extreme supreme being had taken action, and even the chaos divine mountain had been broken. So, it could be said that not only did the ruins contain saint-rank eternal Tao laws, even the exalted Tao laws were left in the ruins. If the remnant supreme Tao law was triggered, then even the powerful holy venerables would be destroyed in body and soul, and even quasi-supremes might die. Roar! At that moment, an earth-shattering roar was heard from the torrential deathly aura. In an instant, the deathly aura enveloped the southern heavenly gate. Amidst the surging death chi, there was actually a huge figure faintly discernible. "Master, save me." Just as Ji Yufei and Yang were bewildered, a voice suddenly resounded in Ji Yufei's heart. "Black Chilean Tiger Emperor." Ji Yufei was shocked. The divine will fluctuation coming from the southern heavenly gate belonged to the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor. Wasn't this tiger following Ming Qiong? Ming Qiong wasn't a weakling. He was a holy venerate and a supreme being with an extremely strong physique. Even an extreme godly sword would have a hard time hurting his body. Why did the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor need him to save the formidable Ming Qiong? "What's wrong?" Yang who was in Ji Yufei's arms, suddenly asked. She could sense that something was wrong with Ji Yufei. "I'm fine." As Ji Yufei spoke, a figure rushed out from the top of his head and turned into another Ji Yufei. Then, this Ji Yufei took a step forward and instantly rushed into the southern heavenly gate. Yang was stunned. Ji Yufei had actually released his clone. Could it be that he wanted to get rid of the undying creature in the southern heavenly gate? "Do you want to go play? It's not every day that you get a chance like this." Ji Yufei smiled at Yang. They were riding on the same mount, and Ji Yufei's large hand was wrapped around Yang slender waist. The two of them had never experienced something like this before. Yang felt that this was very warm. Being hugged by Ji Yufei and feeling Ji Yufei's strong manly aura made her feel safe. She just wanted to stay in Ji Yufei's warm embrace forever. She shook her head. She disliked fighting and killing the most, but growing up in such a world, it was inevitable that there would be fighting and killing. One must know that even if she didn't go looking for trouble, those troubles would come looking for her. One should know that the world of cultivation was much crueler than the world of mortals. Murder and robbery were common occurrences. Up to you," Ji Yufei said with a smile. Yang had a gentle personality, and enjoyed a peaceful and simple life. In other words, she had a pure heart and few desires, and was well versed in the true essence of cultivation. However, not everyone could be like Yang who didn't need to care about anything else and only focused on cultivation. Ordinary cultivators were in a very miserable situation. They had to work hard every day to survive. Even if they obtained some rare treasures, they would immediately store them away to prevent other cultivators from robbing them. However, those who dared to rob Ji Yufei's things were definitely suicidal. "Let's just watch the show," Ji Yufei said. Bang! At that moment, an extremely powerful aura burst out from the southern heavenly gate. It was Ji Yufei's clone making his move. A golden light like a golden sun appeared amidst the boundless aura of death, emitting a blinding light. Under the illumination of the golden light, the grey aura of death quickly dispersed like snow under the scorching sun. The power of the Paragon realm shook the void and dispersed the aura of death. A giant silhouette appeared before everyone. It was a bone dragon the size of a mountain. Seeing this, all the living beings outside the southern heavenly gate were shocked. "Dragon." Yang eyes brightened when she saw this. Ji Yufei's clone was riding on a black tiger. The black tiger was not an ordinary black tiger, but a ferocious tiger covered in a thick layer of black scales. Buzz! With a hum, rays of golden sword chi rushed out from Ji Yufei's clone and slashed at the bone dragon. Inside each ray of golden light, there were Tao patterns faintly visible and intertwined. "Ha ha, who asked you to be arrogant? Master is here, you're dead." The black Chilean tiger emperor laughed. Clang! The golden sword chi struck the bone dragon in an instant, producing the same sound of metal colliding. But this time, the golden sword chi from Ji Yufei's doppelganger only left a faint mark on the dragon's bones. What? The black Chilean tiger emperor was dumbfounded. This bone dragon's bones were too strong. Even his master's sword chi could not break it. How is this possible? The black Chilean tiger emperor was in disbelief. Although his master was not fighting with his real body, his clone still had the power of a paragon. Could this bone dragon really be an ancestral dragon? Otherwise, how could its bones be so strong? The bones of an ancestral dragon. Outside the southern heavenly gate, Ji Yufei, who was riding on the dragon horn Chilean, was surprised. No wonder the black Chilean tiger emperor was being chased by this bone dragon. The bone dragon had an extremely strong bone body. The black Chilean tiger emperor was no match for it. It could only be chased and could not threaten the bone dragon at all. Buzz! At this moment, the bone dragon suddenly opened its mouth and roared. Although there was no sound, the sound it made was even more terrifying. Powerful spiritual fluctuations erupted and ripples that could be seen by the naked eye immediately appeared in the void. What? Ji Yufei's clone was taken aback. Then, he reached out with both hands and a ball of golden light appeared on his body, instantly enveloping himself and the black Chilean tiger emperor. In the next moment, the wave arrived and directly sent Ji Yufei's clone, who was riding on the black Chilean tiger emperor, flying tens of thousands of feet away. Roar! Ji Yufei's doppelganger roared towards the sky. This bone dragon was indeed terrifying. He had almost been hit by this divine sense attack. If he had been hit by the bone dragon's divine sense attack, he would have been in deep trouble. The black Chilean tiger emperor would probably die. Rumble! At this moment, a huge bone claw grabbed at Ji Yufei's clone. A black aura surrounded the bone claw, emitting a terrifying aura of death. TSK, it's just an undying being. Does it really think that it's invincible? Ji Yufei's doppelganger rode the black Chilean tiger emperor and instantly disappeared into the void. The huge bone claw grabbed nothing but air. Roar! A terrifying spiritual will exploded from the bone dragon's skull. A terrifying dragon roar rang out. However, this was a silent killing technique. The void rippled like waves. Another spiritual will attack. From the void, two figures fell out. Ji Yufei's clone was shocked. The spiritual will of this bone dragon was too strong. This was the first time he had encountered such a strong spiritual will killing technique. Master, what do we do? The black Chilean tiger emperor was bleeding from all its orifices. The spiritual will killing technique of the bone dragon had dealt a huge blow to its primordial spirit. If not for Ji Yufei's clone protecting it, its primordial spirit would have been shattered by the bone dragon's spiritual will and it would have become a walking corpse. What else can we do? Kill. Ji Yufei's clone spoke in a deep voice. At the same time, a dazzling golden light emerged from between his brows, as if a golden divine eye had appeared between his brows. You have the power of spiritual will. I have the power of primordial spirit. Let's see who's stronger. As Ji Yufei's clone spoke, a beam of divine light shot out from between his eyebrows, turning into a sword shadow that pierced through the bone dragon's skull. Swoosh!